What's going on over there? Who's tweeting?
Oh, Trendy. It just said Monica. It's
Which Monica?
Monica from Friends.
Oh. You know what I always think of when I hear Monica? Do y'all remember Fast and the Furious? When Ja Rule's like, Monica.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing I think of now.
When she left his ass because he lost.
Hey, maybe he should have won.
He should have drove faster, right?
Or maybe he should be a little bit more picky when he starts to choose who he wants to surround himself with.
Could you blame him?
Honestly, I would have done the same thing.
Lost the race and his bitch.
Talk about a travesty.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
speaking of Hood Paul Walker, we got Alec on the podcast.
Alec on the
What a
podcast.
transition. What a transition.
I'm all smooth. But yes, episode 18 of the Heavens Demons podcast. This week we got the one and only Alec.
We here.
Also
Good to
known
be back.
Also known as ITOYOU. ITOYOU.
ITOYOU Industries in the building.
Crazy, bro. I feel like I've seen him all over Instagram lately.
The
Are y'all doing anything right now?
Yeah, we got a little something. We had it tucked in the
In the vault?
in the vault for a minute.
He's all got to tuck in the tuck.
I was like, don't worry, I got you, bro.
Itty 002 is out though. Spiritual Warfare. We just dropped a video today.
That sounds like a Rage Against the Machine album.
It does.
Oh yeah, we definitely tapped into some kind of like Rage Against the Machine vibes, I guess, with the kind of like yeah, it's kind of inspired through stuff like that, like just waking up your mind,
Yeah.
and just getting trying to like give a different outlook on like capital, basically how people are like monetizing spirituality and stuff like that, with how trendy it's gotten in the past like 5 to 10 years, I would say. And
Earthy also.
yeah. And just how people are like,
Glad we're not those.
they're basically becoming dependent on spirituality instead of like dealing with the shit how you should do it normally. Just like digging deep within themselves.
So you're saying like the spiritual awakening is trendy?
Yeah, it's trendy, but then it's also like people are, with the demand for spirituality practices going up, people are making money off of it. So then the resources that are used for practicing spirituality they're limited. So like the indigenous practices that are used with like sage and palo santo and stuff like that, the resources become limited, and the people that actually use them, they don't have access to them anymore.
They're kind of shit out of luck because like the market's the demand is so high for it.
And
It's
so high.
They would probably mark up the prices as well for those things.
Absolutely.
Right, but then also the people that should profit off of these things aren't making any money off of it either. So you have these big companies that come through, they wipe out all of the sage,
It's
all
spiritual
of the Palo
appropriation.
Santo. There we are. There we are with it.
God
They're
damn it.
appropriating the spiritualization and the practices through all this stuff. And if anybody should be monetizing these practices, it's the indigenous people that use them, you know what I'm saying? So not only are they not making any money off of it, their resources are also very limited.
Do you ever think about if they want to make money off of it?
Or
They rather just keep it amongst them, their community,
That's-
because it's so close to
that's
them?
where it's at. Like they would rather probably keep it to themselves, and they're not looking to make any money off of it anyways. They would probably just rather be able to use their practices.
Bro, they don't even want human contact with us.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
that's for sure. Like the
You
last
heard
thing
about
they wanted,
you heard about the guy that tried to go speak to, I forgot what little
Sentinel Island.
Yeah. Devil Island, as I like to call it.
and they killed him.
Yeah,
Right,
almost
right.
instantly.
Yeah. There was another instance where somebody, I think they flew over with a plane and they were throwing harpoons.
Yeah. Well,
Had it-
apparently, wasn't the story what was it? A little less than 100 years before that, somebody also came to the island and he brought diseases and he brought a lot of things. So at that point, that was the first time somebody ever visited that island.
Yeah.
After that, the legend was known. If somebody comes on this island, they die.
Yeah, they
If
probably
not, we
don't
die.
have any COVID over there at all.
Oh no! Oh, you think they worry about COVID?
Yeah, they ain't worried about shit out there.
No.
Yeah, I like the concept of that. As you were speaking about it, about the indigenous people, I remember a conversation I had with somebody, I want to say maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and this person did not know that indigenous people still existed.
Wait.
They're all like, what?
Yeah, like
Here?
she thought that in the world in general.
Yeah.
In the world in general, she thought everybody went through in the Industrial Revolution and just evolved.
So she thought Christopher Columbus came through and just like fucked up everything everywhere.
Yeah, and like everywhere, as soon everybody had to level up.
Oh, man.
She did not know that there was still people walking around like indigenous, and I'm like, those people still exist. I mean, there's in small nooks and crannies of the world, but like
They're still
Well,
here.
you know what's crazy? There's still reservations in our country that doesn't have electricity or running water.
Well, I think from what I've seen and publicized, majority of them don't.
So I think it's the Martinez Reservation out towards like Mecca and stuff like that. They didn't have electricity until I think my grandma told me like the 70s or the 80s. And there was a deal also where the city sold the rights to their land to where a lot of the waste management companies in Los Angeles would transfer all their waste to the reservation, which would like fuck up a lot of their water and don't even get me started with like the air quality and stuff like that. So it's just crazy, like a lot of the people that live day in and day out are so oblivious to just the people that were here before, everything came from the East Coast to the West Coast and basically just came through, and there's no mindfulness behind anything. Everybody's just like, oh, I heard sage is really good for like cleaning your spirit and stuff like that. So they're
the bad energy.
Yeah, and then they go and buy these like sage bundles, and they're like, oh, well, I'm just gonna smudge my room, and it's like, you guys don't even understand how to like use these practices. Like, you guys have no idea of like the different ways that they go about it, and like it's like a spiritual ceremony. Yeah. So they go out and they buy all these things, and they're not mindful about it. So next thing you know, like sage is becoming, an extinct plant. Palo Santo trees are becoming extinct, and then you're like, so I just wanted to shed light on that side of things. But then also like not using those practices as like a cop out, rather than like, like just dig deep, look at yourself in the mirror. Where does it start with you? Yeah. Don't like, oh, I'm going through a shitty time. It's Mercury retrograde, so I'm gonna go get some.
You're gonna piss some fans off right now. I hope you know this, right?
I'm gonna go get some sage.
I did not say that, guys. I understand the moon. I understand it goes through different phases.
You understand your big three. You understand,
My big
like
tree.
even then, like when it comes to stuff like that, I'm open to hearing, and I believe in most of it, but I will never go out and act like I know everything about it. Or I remember the first time I was hanging out with somebody and she started saging her room, and I was looking at her, I'm like, not in a weird way, but I'm like, I don't think you're doing this right.
Yeah. Right.
It's almost like you look silly. Like I get what you're trying to do. And she was like saying like, and because her friends came over, she's like, oh, I just saged my room today and got all the bad energy out. I just feel like there's so much negativity. I'm like, I feel like you should be saying a prayer or something.
Yeah.
Like not venting.
Definitely.
Yes, I absolutely agree. But also it's like, why are you hanging around people with always a lot of bad energy?
Hey.
Like maybe that's the problem. And maybe you just not having sage is like the remedy.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like, instead of like pointing your finger at different things and like, why don't you just kind of like dig deep within and like look at yourself and see and like, oh, where can I start?
We kind of hinted at this last week on the podcast about because we were speaking about Hispanic Heritage Month and like our cultures and like how we really don't know. So then when you learn it through I would say like a third party, which would be somebody just on YouTube.
Right.
Do you even know that they're doing it right?
If they're even educated.
If they're even educated on it, like you may be practicing something wrong.
Yeah.
Like we said, we've been through it before. Like I've mispronounced words and you mispronounced words, and it's like, well, that's just how I heard it. Like somebody taught me that. So then think about it when it comes to these practices and stuff and these teachings. It's like, well, I only know what I was taught.
Yeah, like did they learn from the elder that practiced it right? And
probably
like
not.
that.
But also, it's one of those things. Like if you really, it's kind of like. Same thing with religion. If you're really gonna do it, then you might as well go all in and research. And if you actually care about it and it's something you want to do, then don't just like half-ass it.
Yeah, like tap into the roots of like how it started, or like why they do those practices actually. Because that's the thing. Like a lot of these people, they might be practicing these things and they might open a deity, and next thing you know, they're gonna curse themselves. Like, and that's one thing I don't want to like fuck with is some type of malpractice where all of a sudden like now I
keep my dream catcher on my door. That's all I need.
I grew up and I believe in like ghosts and stuff like that, paranormal,
spirits, and
because
all that.
because of where I grew up in a house that was legit haunted, and so like when it comes to stuff like this, like I'm kind of like really weary, and like I've had people say like, oh, you should get crystals, go crystal shopping, stuff like that, and I'm like, like I would, but I wouldn't want to disrespect and just go and like, oh, which one should I buy, and like just be super novice, because then to the people that actually care about it, that's very disrespectful.
and put in the work and all that stuff
Yeah,
to like
put in
learn
the work.
about
And
it.
then my deepest fear is I do some shit wrong and do exactly what you said and awaken some evil deity, and now I'm cursed, and my kids.
It sounds like every fucking horror movie.
Yeah, and my great grandkids got to carry fucking whatever Madame Zeroni up a mountain, and they got to eat fucking onions because of my dumb ass picked the wrong fucking crystal.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful out here, man.
Mm-hmm.
It could happen very easily. Could slip away.
And you got to think about it too, like how many of our elders are around that did stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's not so far along, like so far ago, but it's like through generations that stuff gets lost.
Yeah. And that's what sucks too, because like a lot of these practices, they're so ancient. I mean, then you look at our generation now, like a lot of us are second, third, fourth generation Americans, and I what's funny is like my grandma speaks Spanish, my dad doesn't, I don't. So I just imagine like all the other families where it's like they had all these different practices within their culture, but they got lost in translation.
Yeah.
Because they just
Literally
stopped practicing those things. You know what I'm saying? So like,
and then even before then, to where your answers we talked about last week, like the Mayans and Aztecs that spoke their language.
Oh yeah, and how and all those languages are getting a thing of the past. Even like in the indigenous tribes and like Native Americans, like all their languages are a thing of the past. I would say
literally the only ones keeping that language alive.
So it sucks because those are the things that we should keep close to us and like have it go on through our lineage and things like that. But I think with the times now, everybody's so like in this microwave era to where it's just like here today, gone tomorrow.
I would say at least here for the most part that's the case. I think we have that luxury. I would say countries that are very technologically advanced, that have so much things accessible to them, that's very easy to go away. But I still feel like in a lot of parts of like South America, a lot of that stuff still goes on.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, it's the technology that the disconnect to where they have to like kind of fall back on that, where people are probably still doing the things they were doing hundreds of years ago.
Yeah, I remember it's even along those lines of like listening to like Joe Rogan's podcast, like even with like ayahuasca and like looking at it and hearing stories about like, oh, it's like a crazy high, this, that, and the third. But even like if I were to do it, I would want to go to like the jungles.
Oh yeah, have like a shaman that's done these practices for how long,
and they come from a lineage of those people that did that.
And their children will do it. Their children's children will do it, and things like that. So, I think us being American, we're so like infatuated with like wanting to be like a successful businessman or things like that. That the stuff that is important to our culture kind of gets put on like a back burner in a way because we're so like in tune with like what's going on, like what sports are happening, who's
a lot of distractions.
Who. Exactly.
But also like the type of environment that was breeded in America was based off a lot of competition and capitalism, so you had no choice but to keep up or you're gonna fall behind to a place where it's like, oh well, now my kids are fucked. So you kind of have no choice. Hey, I would love for me not to have like I was talking about this with my parents. I was like, I would love to maybe not have 3 or 4 fucking companies, but the way you motherfuckers and a lot of other people set it up, I have no choice, because guess what? I'm never going to be able to own a home. I'm never going to be able to have any luxuries of traveling, because it just doesn't work like that anymore. I was like, that's what you guys breeded. I was like, you guys aren't, nobody will take accountability for it, but
if you want to have a home here,
yes.
you'd have to migrate somewhere else.
But even then, bro, like even if like let's say fucking what's Bakersfield. Nobody wants to live in Bakersfield, right?
Nobody does.
Have you ever heard of anybody want to live in Bakersfield?
I just heard people driving through.
I have family in Bakersfield, and that shit's still expensive. Like, I can't even afford a home there. So it's like it's so hard everywhere. They had a study that minimum wage in 50 states in the U.S. is not enough to live. So like even in the fucking shittiest of places, minimum wage, which federally is what, like $8, $7.25. It's not enough to live. So how are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
It's like we didn't have a choice. I hate the fact that I have to emphasize doing this, but what am I supposed to do?
We're
Like,
in this rat race that just is never ending.
that's why we go to Rosarito.
Hey,
How far do we stretch our money?
I can make $100 last a long time.
Ooh, I'm gonna retire there at 30.
At 30.
What's the kilo of tortillas? Like $2?
Oh, I thought you were saying kilo something else.
I was like, shh, I'm fucking
I gotta keep that on the record.
Yeah, kilo tortillas. Yeah, the maíz.
Listeners like, kilo of what?
Oh, no salina. But a fucking kilo of tortillas de harina was what, like $3, I think.
Oh my
I
god,
can eat
so
that
good.
for a week.
Oh, but yeah,
You could make it stretch a little longer if you wanted to.
I guess
If
so.
you wanted to be
like,
conservative about
Oh
it.
yeah, for sure that lasts a week.
Um,
But it's a trip that like that's kind of what it kind of is here. Like that's just the environment that's breeded here. And I talk about it all the time with my parents because they constantly go to Mexico. It's like they just feel so much better being over there because my mom doesn't even work, but my dad, he works, so he's like, I just don't even want to think about shit like this. He's like, I'm good over there. I don't need much. I'd rather just focus on that. And it's like, I want to do the same thing. I just don't want to have to do it like at 60, how you're doing it.
Yeah, the lifestyle is so drastically different.
Yeah.
yeah, and the country's running out of money on October 1st.
What are we going to do? Guess what?
They got some fucking nerve asking me about my money.
Yeah, and
They got nothing.
they over here pocket watching every $600.
Yeah.
They
Y'all
mad because
can't
they ain't
even-
getting bread.
Hey, you know what? Maybe crypto is the way.
Maybe
Crazy,
maybe
huh?
they should get a second job, you know?
Or a third one.
Mm-hmm.
It's bullshit.
You gotta hedge your money.
I wish there was a way, like, where you would charge people to live in your country and, like, took, like, the people that made the most money and said, you know what, give a little more because you have a little more.
Yeah.
Wish that was a thing.
No, it's nuts. Yeah, I don't know if that's possible, but I wish that was a thing. I wish that was normalized. You know.
Yeah, hey. But what do I know?
Rich get richer.
Capitalism. It's gonna get you.
But it's nice to hear that you're capitalizing off the capitalization of capitalism with your drop.
Yeah, it's.
There really is
basically
layers.
What I
of
was
it.
thinking of when,
Basically.
when I came out with the
You know,
drop, I was
sticking,
like,
really sticking it to
it's
him.
been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming. I'm gonna get mine.
Hey.
If that's what we doing out here.
Hey, you know what? Then I might as well bring awareness to the situation while still getting mines. And you know what? I think that's commendable.
You know what? I did think about donating some of the money to like some type of like fund or something like that. And I was like, you know
But
what?
then I thought about
But
it.
where's the fund even at?
Yeah, and then I was like, you know what? I don't even know who to give it to.
Yeah.
So I'm part indigenous. I was like, I'm gonna donate it to myself.
That's
There you
fair.
go.
My grandpa is looking down on me like, you know what, mijo, you're doing a good job.
You know what?
Your
I
grandpa's like,
respect
fuck these motherfuckers.
Yeah, like they didn't give me
They
shit.
didn't give me shit.
All they did was come and take our land and put us on this sorry ass reservation.
They gave me a stick of bubblegum and a swift kick in the ass.
That's why he's out here. He's like, fuck that reservation in Arizona. There wasn't nothing out there anyways.
that. Oh, was it a big reservation?
It's small,
Nah,
probably
they
small.
were really poor.
Damn.
So like the tribe that he was from is Tohono or Odom. And when the colonizers came, they called them the Bean people, which translates to Papago. So a lot of the tribe was like split between Papago and the original Odom people.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever happened years and years and years ago, part of the tribe that got split, now they have money, and the other side of the tribe doesn't so much. So
I was gonna ask
it's
you.
just weird.
And your grandpa's like, well, I'ma go.
He's like, y'all
You're
call
a papa go, I'ma go.
Yeah, he's like, y'all call me Papa go, I'ma go.
I'ma
So
go. I'ma
I'ma
get the
to
fuck
Cali.
out of here.
I was
Basically.
gonna ask because you probably have more information on this than anybody I know. How is it that some tribes have a shit ton of money and some have like nothing?
Yeah, what it all comes down to is basically like who's able to take their land and make the most of it. So like out here, obviously there's a lot of casinos on tribal land.
Yeah.
And what they're able to do is also like with the land that they have, whether it's useful or not, they're able to commercialize it, sell it, do whatever. So a lot of the times it's legal for them to have casinos because they're not federally regulated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like they're able to like sell whatever they want on their land legally. So a lot of the times they make casinos happen, they do all these different things, and basically whoever has like the best land, they're able to do things with it and make money off of it. So if you have a tribe out in bumfuck nowhere in like eastern Arizona, there's no
way to profit off of that. In the valley, I learned this because I worked at the casino. Wherever you see the palm trees where the what'd you call it, the fawns or whatever, they're grown out.
Yeah, when they don't trim them and
they don't
stuff
trim
like
them.
that.
They don't trim them. That's how you know you're on Indian land or native land. That's how you know, because they believe that when their ancestors, go into the afterlife, they are a part of the palm trees.
Damn.
That's why they're all grown out. Like they won't ever cut them. And when you see them cut, like I believe it was
they just do the base of them, right?
Like they just do the base of them, so it just looks nice.
Yeah.
But they never will cut them off.
Yeah.
They'll give them a haircut, if you will.
A little trim.
A little trim, and that's how you know you're on native land, on Kuya land. Yeah.
Yeah, so it sucks. Like a lot of these like flyover states that have tribes and stuff, they're so poor because it's like, what are they gonna do with that land? Like nobody's gonna come out to Omaha, Nebraska, like on the outskirts, and want to stay there and have a vacation there. Or like, they're not able to sell their land to developers. To what's crazy too, like in Palm Springs, a lot of the land out there, like the people that built on it still. They're still leasing it from the tribes. So even though like somebody had bought in a house on that land and they own the house, they're still leasing it from the tribe.
Because they own the land.
Yeah. No. Like if the tribe's like, hey, like you guys got to move out, we're gonna, take out all these houses.
Yeah. Well,
develop,
which they could do that.
They could. Well, to be honest, in technicality, nobody ever owns the land realistically.
Yeah, because it all comes down to the government.
Eminent domain. Anybody could make a law or policy that can get you out of for like fucking pennies of what it's probably worth.
Yeah.
And kudos to the tribes. Like they were here from the land before time, so it's cool to see like the power in their hands. So anytime I see like some tribes like out here thriving and stuff, I'm like, yeah, you got yours now, because the colonizers came through and just wiped it out with diseases and all kinds of other shit.
I would say it's the least that they can get, It's like,
after all these years, you guys always find a way to get back to colonization.
Hey, bro.
You came on this podcast with your drop, so don't even bring it to me.
Hey, you knew that it was eventually going to tie around to it.
You
I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait.
You threw up the law, bro, and I'm just like right here, just like that kid, just like shaking.
Like D-Wade to LeBron and shit.
I'm just shaking, like, I don't want to let him talk about it this time,
Can't avoid destiny.
Oh man.
Manifest it,
If you will. Here with it. We out here.
Exactly where you're taking it.
All right. Well, what's next on the topic list, since we can't talk about colonization anymore?
This podcast.
We'll find a way to double
We'll find
back.
a way to double back. You're also vaccinations of all the colonizers.
The colonizers.
Brought their disease. And now we got to come up with a vaccine for it.
I was gonna say we can. Y'all want to do
The hefty topic of 21 Savage and what he's been on the news for.
Yeah, he did an interview with who was Academics, right? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Where he said they took a snippet, and then he later explained himself. Where he said, like, if I wasn't a rapper, I wouldn't listen to Drake. What he meant was, if I was still back doing what I used to do
In the UK.
before, in between there and becoming a rapper, he was in Atlanta.
Okay, got it.
Zone 6.
Context.
And of course, context. And he's like, I don't feel like I would be listening to Drake at all, because, and then anybody, if you really think about it, like doing what he was doing allegedly, why would you really be listening to Drake at all?
No.
Like, you'd
have to know of Drake, of course.
of course you would know of Drake,
but like maybe at their parties they might play just for the girls.
And he said, he's like, back before I became a rapper, you couldn't tell me that Future wasn't bigger than Drake, because that's all they're listening to is Future.
Even still, I feel like in certain parts of this country.
Yeah.
Future is probably like,
especially in Atlanta. He's a god.
yeah, he walks on water in certain places.
It's
you know?
Future. It's Future and Thugger, bro.
Hey, bro,
It's
certain
them
parts of
two.
Rosarito,
Future,
too.
Thugger, and Gucci.
Well, let's talk about the culture out there too. Strip clubs, right? Like strip clubs run the world in certain parts, like Atlanta, Miami, Houston, and all that.
Should be most part of the world.
Very few strip club DJs I feel like are playing some Drake.
It's probably never in the rotation.
And if they
Right.
did, I guarantee you there'd be people complaining like, "Turn the shit." Hey,
Or it's
Yeah.
a song they play like at the end, like when people are walking out.
It's like, oh, last call.
Last call, throw on whatever.
Fucking
Yeah,
Hotline
like
Bling.
I feel like Lil Baby, Future, Young Thug, maybe even like 42 Doug or something like that.
They live in that bubble.
Yeah, and but then we were talking about it a little bit earlier. It's like, look, all these people like selling drugs or like the hustlers and stuff
Allegedly.
like that. Allegedly, they're not in the trap houses like, oh yeah, bro, put on that new Drake. Like,
Yeah.
that's not.
Imagine a drive-by going down, and you're seeing your op drive by, right?
Yeah.
And you hear them shooting and hearing Drake's fireworks playing.
Or you hear it way too sexy. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like,
Wait, what just happened?
I'm like, what kind of drive-by is this?
Yeah. Like,
That's the softest drive-by I've ever been a part of.
bro,
Bro,
they're
and
listening to
imagine
Shut
dying.
It Down. They're listening to Shut It Down and trying to like fucking size you up.
Hey, bro.
Like, wait,
imagine
what's going on
dying-
right here?
Imagine dying. The last thing you hear is Drake. No fuck. I'm not trying to be mean to Drake or
No.
any Drake fans out there, but it's not the how I want to go.
Or imagine being made fun of by a dope fiend because you're listening to fucking Views from the Six while you're cooking, while you're trying to serve them some shit. Like, wait, hold on. What kind of drug deal am I buying from right now?
Do you
What's
trust your
going on?
Do you trust your drug dealer if he's listening to
Yeah.
that?
Oh wait, no, I don't.
I was gonna say.
Allegedly, if I ever went to one, he was listening to NBA YoungBoy.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Allegedly,
That makes
if I
more
ever
sense.
did,
They're fighting for the #1 spot on Billboard right now.
they couldn't be more opposite.
And that's what's so
More
crazy too, right? Like the demographic that listens to NBA YoungBoy and Drake are polar opposites. But then you also have like Drake, who has this huge machine behind him,
Yeah.
pushing all his like marketing. All like he went and bought, what was it, like a billboard in every state and had it catered to that
Yeah.
city and
Yeah.
whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And then you have NBA YoungBoy, who's in jail right now, probably has the #1 album coming out.
And just had an 8th kid. Congratulations. Don't know how that happened, but
Right, it's great. And how old is he? Like in his younger 20s?
I think he's like 21,
It's crazy.
21 or 22.
And this man's about to have the #1 album with no marketing behind him.
None. And just photos of him from jail coming out.
That's all the marketing he needs.
That's all the marketing he needs. And it's so crazy, like, and it's true what they say about NBA YoungBoy fans just listen to his music on PS4s, on YouTube, on a loop.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. And I've seen it. And it's like, and they just have it playing all day. Like, I don't, whenever I'm cleaning my house, like, I'll throw it on whatever YouTube channel, whatever mix, and just have it play background music. Those dudes are just in the house all day.
all day listening to that.
All day listen. It's in the back. And it's so crazy, like the polar opposites of not only the two artists, but just the two fan bases. Like, you could tell an NBA YoungBoy fan versus like a Drake fan could just be a casual person.
But an NBA Young fan, he's gonna dress a certain way.
A YoungBoy fan is completely
Hey,
He's
different.
got
Gonna
Black
talk a certain way.
Forces on for sure.
Yeah.
Black Forces on. Those jeans that look like they were the Da Vinci jeans.
The Givenchy.
Oh,
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
with
lines
the
in
little,
them
yep.
and stuff.
They're from
Skin
H&M
tight.
though. Yep.
They're from H&M though.
Or they're trying to look like the Amiris, but they're not the Amiris.
No, not even close to
The
Amiris.
Hamiris?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like, it's so crazy. And listening to that from 21 Savage, it just made me think and like how much that's true among other artists. He's just the only one to like really say it. Like, the only other people I could think of saying are like artists that nobody really pays attention to. Like, he's the only one that gets like featured on like these big projects.
You talking about Russ?
That I was thinking of like, I don't know, like Hobson or something.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
There's no other artist like Russ. You know that?
No, I'm not even
He
close.
produces, mixes, does all his own stuff.
one of a kind.
And still lives with his mom, no?
His mom
Out of
lives with
choice.
him now.
Out of
His mom
choice.
lives
Yeah,
with
yeah,
him
yeah,
now.
yeah,
He bought the
yeah,
house.
Yeah. But for the longest time, he had money and he didn't want to like buy a home. I think.
Yeah, 'cause-
he's like, why would I? I'm always on tour and shit.
Yeah, I'm never there. I'm never gonna be there.
Yeah.
You know, I want to chill with my mom either way. So
I respect it.
He
probably
still
do the
has
same
his
thing.
Nissan Sentra chilling.
I'm pretty sure he's had.
tried.
I'm pretty sure he went out on cars.
What Greek mythology person is it? Oedipus?
What?
The dude that was so
Oedipus
infatuated.
the Oedipus complex.
Oedipus complex. So in love with his mom, maybe, I don't know. Just throwing that one out there. Weird. But either way, that's weird. Transition out of this, Adam. But I feel like there's a lot of other artists that think that same way of like they really don't fuck with not just Drake, but like it could be anybody. Mm-hmm. But they know that they have to save an industry relationship. Like, yeah, like, and they get blackballed. I know that there was an artist that said something about Drake and was blackballed. I forgot who it was, and they came out. Huh?
Pusha
T.
That man was the opposite of blackball.
Yeah, no. But he's one of the only ones that really went up against Drake. Kendrick's thrown subliminals and
Kanye
obviously. Diddy peed on him. Like, there's been so much stuff that.
Wait, you can't just glance over the fact you said
he
Diddy.
just threw that in like that. He's like, Diddy peed on him.
Diddy peed on him?
Yeah, supposedly that's the story.
Like from a balcony or something. Like there's no way. There's no way he just like whooped his dick out and started pissing right in front of him.
Apparently they were in a movie theater of sorts, like maybe Diddy's home theater or something, and like as a joke, he drunk.
He like pissed on his shoes or something.
Yeah, like pissed on his something. Just whipped it out and started pissing on him. This was before Drake was. I think this was before. If you're reading this, it's too late. I think it was in between the second and then that album. It was in between that time when he still had like the fro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he had it grown out a bit. Yeah.
That's a hell of an alpha move, I guess. That's one way to go about it, watching a movie.
Yeah. But that was the rumor. I mean, Chris Brown, but I mean, the Browns are going to do whatever the fuck the Browns want to do.
Oh, yeah. That's a different breed.
So it's like you have to be a certain status of an artist to just like not even give a fuck about that. I mean, we're not going to talk about the other artists that
hey,
piss
we
on
got to talk
somebody.
about it. Trey Songz, yeah, that's what you're talking about, yeah.
No, it was the other way around with him.
So is the Drake and Kanye dialogue like done and over with now?
I think it is, bro. Like Styles P put it perfectly. Like they're hyping this up. They're never gonna fight each other.
Yeah.
They're never gonna. Nothing's gonna become of this. No. Nor do we want to see that happen.
Right.
Like
I don't need to see Drake's fucking altered body trying to fight somebody. It's just. Hey,
you've seen him hit the mitts though, bro. He'll fade you up.
Yeah, that's exactly what'll happen.
I feel like that man trolls purposefully.
Yeah.
Oh, he has a purpose with everything he does. I'm a firm believer of that. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything
ever since Hotline Bling. He's been doing that. Like that was a clear like make this will be my rollout.
Yeah, like
you guys should put this everywhere.
Become a meme as much as he can.
Yeah.
Bro, remember everyone was fucking doing this for no reason.
Oh yeah.
And then they put a tennis racket on him, and like they just did
it snowballed for them.
It's snowballed, bro. Like it was a reason. And that was
fucking crying in videos now. Like he's the man. Let's never forget this. Before he was a rapper, he was an actor. Mm-hmm. The man knows what he's doing. He's not dumb.
But why do we pin these two artists against each other so much? Aside from like obviously,
just like we pin everything against each other.
But like
we can't ever really agree.
Right.
That and honestly, controversy is fun.
But we're comparing apples to oranges. It's
and
like,
I agree,
bro. Drake literally, like, he has a certain kind of like rollout and like with his music, he's like found his lane, right?
Oh,
to where Kanye's like, he's always trying to like do the outside the box kind of like music and things like that. He's very ahead of his time. Mm-hmm. So for us to compare like Drake and Kanye is like comparing Michael Jordan to LeBron. It's like, look, they're both greats, but you're getting one compared to another. Like they're way.
People did that with fucking Michael Jackson and Prince.
Yeah, and that I wish it for like when we were.
And that was a realer beef than whatever this Drake and Kanye is.
I know.
Prince, Prince tried to run him over.
I know they'd get down.
Yeah,
before Kanye
Prince?
and Drake would. I know.
Isn't that crazy to think about? Like Prince was a very like feminine kind of man, right? Like he really pushed the boundaries.
Androgynous is the
very
term,
very much so, right?
But let's never get it twisted.
Like they were so quick to go at each other's necks, but then we have like these rappers who are supposed to like uphold this
this
image
standard,
and stuff like this and like what rap culture is supposed to be. But they won't even like they like do subliminals. They can't like come at each other's neck and like
they won't be super direct. And you talked about this before. I don't know because Joe Budden brought it up, but it's never the rap motherfuckers are gonna be beefing and fighting. It's the R&B guys that you would never suspect.
That like, you'd have to worry about.
Those are the guys because you know what? They're gonna sing angelically and they're gonna have your girl singing, but they're also gonna rush you.
Yeah, they talk about Keith Sweat, who Keith Sweat was before he was Keith Sweat, and how he's still that dude from I believe he's from Harlem.
Oh,
like he's
you can't fuck with somebody from Harlem.
Yeah, like, and then they brought up the Isley brothers and like how they dress androgynous, but they'll still cut you. Like they'll shoot you in broad daylight from the mean streets of Cincinnati.
Same with like the Ohio players and all them. Like I look at those cats and I'm like, look, they dress like a woman, but they will fuck you up. I bet with a snap of a finger.
Oh yeah, they have, bro. Cause think about it. I imagine those people back in the day, like they probably watched, like they're probably listening to music in the '80s, right? And how they dressed.
Yeah.
And kind of took their own that fashion and made it their own, but at the same time, fucking like gangster rap and everything was coming into play. So you get a mix of the two. It's like, well, you're gonna get some pretty gnarly people.
Yeah, I mean, nothing against Ice Cube, but he wasn't really a gangster. Like there's been
same with Dr. Dre.
Yeah,
he
they're
was
not really gangsters.
And
yeah,
shit like that. Same with Tupac. Tupac was like a dancer and shit like that too. But then you look at these men like in the 80s and probably the 70s and stuff like that too.
Before then, yes.
When they used to dress like that,
I got it. It was the coke.
Oh,
the drugs are phenomenal back in the day.
Definitely, they were on Quaaludes and all that good shit.
Got it.
But then also like they probably got picked on and bullied so much for dressing like that and stuff like that that they probably had to fight a lot more.
That's my
and
theory.
defend themselves.
They had to get in real fights.
Yeah,
that's my theory about it.
I think too, like dog, nothing against gay people, but all the gay men that I know, they know how to fight. And since we were young, they were probably having to like defend themselves and shit like that. So I'm like, I think that's what the dynamic is to where like rappers and stuff like that, they're so quick to like pull their gun and stuff because they probably never been in fights their whole life. Never
have. And I remember there was a tweet speaking about that, is like sometimes these homophobic dudes forget that that's still a man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're trying to he's still a man, and he's probably been fighting a lot longer than you have. And then I think back to you're talking about the Ohio players and the Isley brothers and like R&B artists even that predate them. Like you think about the Temptations and stuff, and it's like those motherfuckers were crazy. Yeah. Also, there was a race war going on outside. Like they had to fight constantly.
Yeah.
So it's
for
like
survival.
For survival, bro. This is before like everybody had to fight. So yeah, like they may sing to your girl, but they'll still shoot you. They're willing to fight. Versus these other dudes, like a lot of them, they're just it's an image that they're upholding.
Right.
They know they can monetize off of it. They know that they like, oh, just because I grew up catty corner to a neighborhood, I can claim this, and people will respect it, and I could say whatever I want because nobody's gonna check me, or I could get, I know somebody from this hood that's gonna say that I'm from there.
I get the cosign.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, even like that rapper Lil Tecca, he's always like, look, like I rap about all this shit, but I don't live none of it either.
I don't even when he said I'll spin the block, I don't even have a car.
If you had, right?
I don't even have a car.
So if you had to come up with like a percentage of rappers that rap about what, or like rap the same lifestyle that they live, what would you say? Like if you had to guesstimate.
That I told her through today. There's probably, I heard this in podcast, there's probably 5 rappers that actually have the money they say they do. Probably 5.
Or live the lifestyle
or that live the life that they say.
Griselda.
Like
that's
Griselda, absolutely.
ESTG, 100%. I can look at him and I know for a fact.
Definitely.
Even Moneybagg Yo to an extent.
I would say Lil Baby is like, from interviews and stuff that I've like read and watched, like he was really like the kingpin where he's
got
like,
the paperwork
lived.
To prove it too. Like he's been locked up.
Right.
It's not something of like nobody knows who you are. Like you're just getting, it's word of mouth of like, oh yeah, that person is from here or that person did do that. It's like no. You could also tell when these guys go back home and like when real street dudes will recognize.
Yeah, like they could pull up to their old neighborhoods and still like get the respect that they had before.
Yeah, so I mean, it's visible if you're looking for it, but if you're not looking for it, you wouldn't even guess. I remember I was having a conversation with somebody, and she said that an artist from Shoreline Mafia, like, oh, don't fuck with them, like you'll get fucked up. I'm like, have you seen him fight? Because there's videos of this person fighting and like it looks bad. Like you could tell he's never thrown a punch a day in his life.
Oh, I know which video you're talking about.
And
yeah, it looks.
It's happened multiple occasions.
Who was it? OGZ?
It was OGZ.
Yeah,
and I was like, and he's a hothead and whatever. But I'm like, you can think these people just because they say this in a song or like they dress a certain way or they'll be posting with their money and they'll have guns around them and stuff. But like, no, it's probably not even their gun. It's probably not even their money.
Right, and I think about situations too when like people post their guns and stuff like that.
Ooh,
Like,
I'm afraid of that guy.
Yeah, like if you're posting your shit, 9 times out of 10 you're probably not even using it.
The people that really use guns,
Yeah, they're not
don't post
posting no
guns.
shit.
Well, not only that, they don't have social media.
Yeah, they're
That
also
too.
weird.
Like
The
they're
real
probably
ones-
still on
Yeah.
Facebook and haven't logged in like
The only
in 10
time,
years.
the only time they get on social media,
on Facebook.
the only time they get on social media is when they're already locked up for whatever they did.
You know,
Yeah.
you get a DM on Facebook Messenger and shit. It's just like, bro, like I haven't talked to you in 15 years. Like,
Hey, bro, how you
Or they
fucking-
pull up to your event, and you're like, bro, I haven't even seen you.
I was like, hey, bro, I'm just glad we're still friends.
I'm just glad we're still friends. I'm glad we're still cool, bro. I'm glad you're still breathing, dog.
those are the
'Cause-
ones like you're glad, like they still dap you up because you're like, dog, I don't want to be on your
man,
bad
Bro, I'd hate
side.
to be on that guy's bad side.
Man.
Many times, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
But it's so much in.
I'm laughing because I'm just thinking about like the Temptations and guys back in the day. Like they probably had like what platforms on, like really loose fitting kind of
Glittery shirts.
and I could just see them like kicking their feet, like, "What'd you say, sucker?"
Yeah.
Like just ready at
Like-
You fucking jive turkey.
like just at any moment, bro. It's ready to fucking snap.
I'll fuck you up and fuck your bitch.
Like I look at that, I'm like, that's more gangster than anything
Yeah.
I've seen. And nowadays, I'm all, I respect that.
Like, remember we were walking through Placentia, and I remember Damien saying like, "Hey, if you're ever walking through like a old school like Mexican neighborhood and you hear 80s music playing, just
Oh,
keep
yeah.
walking.
Don't even make
Don't even make eye contact with them.
Man.
If you hear Lisa,
Debbie
if you
Deb.
hear Debbie Deb, if you hear you just keep walking because
Hey,
those
blinders
dudes
on, blinders
don't
on.
even look their
Blinders
way. And I know that because when I go to my family parties and they're playing that, I'm like, oh well, I mean, yeah, this makes sense.
Y'all still live
Great
this.
advice.
Because they grew up in an era where they would fight before they chew. Like if he's like, I'd much rather drive by a house and they're playing like Tupac than
Oh, of course.
than somebody that's listening like a bunch of dudes, grown ass men listening to Lisa.
Or some like classic oldies.
Oh, bro, the yeah,
Like some Art LeBeau type shit. You're just
Yeah.
like, oh man.
Sunday night slow jams with Art LeBeau.
Like this
Blinders,
man was
bro. Look down, look down,
he
look
was
down.
dedicating shit to his girl like back in the 90s for sure.
Wow, in jail. Damn, romance back in the day. All right.
Hey, love.
Hey, you know, to be honest, bro, that sounds like romance to me. Hey, that guy might have potentially tried to kill somebody, but he still loves his woman.
At the end of the day, that's home. That's home to him.
Hey, that's romance.
Yeah.
Not
That's-
not the shooting part.
Hey,
but
he
no.
bangs his hood, but he knows who his home is.
Yeah. He knows the home down the block. Really.
Really. And
That's
hide the
homeboys.
gun.
Yeah.
They say romance is dead.
No, it's
You
not.
know,
It's
we
thriving.
you know, we should need to bring that back. Not the shooting, but like, you know,
That mentality.
the mentality of.
That mentality.
Isn't it crazy? Like when you see high schoolers and stuff like that, they look at the era we grew up in as like the oldies now,
Yeah.
or like when you see like high schoolers and stuff, they want to throw like 2000s parties.
And it's like, bro, that wasn't even really 2000s.
Yeah.
That was
You know,
like,
You saw the video where they were
clip,
doing the
they're-
wrong dance.
and they're
Yeah.
jerking.
They're jerking. It's like, hey, yo, that's 10 years too
Oh,
late,
look
bro.
at us. We're
And I was-
fucking old heads
Oh,
now.
bro.
and it's like, oh, early 2000s, but it's like, okay, Soldier Boy, and then some of the stuff I was like, that's like almost 2010. I was like, where
That's
that's
2000. That's 2006, 7.
Yeah, 2006.
Yeah,
and
that's
7.
later on.
Can we like just admire Soldier Boy for a second
I never
and
have
how
it.
much of a legend he is?
First to
I
do
just
everything.
feel like culture in general, like they kind of like sweep Soldier Boy under the rug, and
Right.
it wasn't until like
He started
had
saying
this
it?
resurgence, like I was the first to do this, I was the first to do that,
Yeah.
to where people like really started acknowledging it.
You go, oh shit, I guess he was.
Bro, and when Drake's album dropped, not to bring it back to him, but like, where they're like, oh, this is the first song that promotes like, you know, men really flexing their shit. Wait, too sexy. They're like, have you heard Pretty Boy Swag?
Swag?
Come on,
have you heard?
man,
Have you heard?
Is my pretty
Bruh, when that song came out, I was like,
oh, this is the hardest shit out.
He had something for everything.
Everything, bro,
literally.
and like, he made everybody want to get a sidekick,
Dog,
and
yeah.
bro, an HTC sidekick.
I didn't even know what
Probably a
vapes
shitty
were,
phone.
and then I seen that. Well, I did.
Well, Lil
but
Wayne.
I didn't want to buy some
Yeah.
vapes until like Soldier Boy came out, because I was like, Lil Wayne was like my introduction to like hip hop culture and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
when I seen Baby, I was like, oh, that's fire, but I didn't know what it was. And then I got me some Bathing Ape came out, and I was
Yeah.
like, I got it.
And then he started writing Soldier Boy on his glasses. Bro, remember? I think it was
He did.
sixth grade.
Sixth
everybody
grade.
would write
Their-
on
yeah.
their glasses
With the whiteout
with the
and shit like
whiteout,
that.
and then the year after is when Kanye did the other glasses,
The ones with the
shutters,
lines?
yeah.
the shutters. So then everybody had those. Like, That was an era.
I can't
Y'all
believe
can understand.
Bro, the
people
amount of
let us-
trends, the amount of different trends there were like in a
year.
like in a year span. By the next year, something way different, and you had to keep up. Because
Yeah.
if you didn't, like, oh, well, you're just lame.
We went from wearing like 2XTs to fucking like slim fitting jeans and
To skinnies and trying to jerk in skinnies.
oh man.
Which,
I mean, you could.
Which logistically, I saw that from afar. I never went that far to do that. I was like, that just don't make sense.
My legs wouldn't fit.
Well,
in the
mostly
skinny
that,
Yeah,
jeans.
that was my problem
Yeah.
too. I had to
Yeah.
get. They had like the 501s, and then they had like the 511s, and then I think they were like the 514s, where it was
Oh,
like,
bro. The 501s was an era within itself.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I love that. That was I think that was my favorite era, like 501s with Vans and like
Oh, the
the
pack
s-
era.
and the studded belts.
Yes, but we
Weird.
went to what was it, Hot Topic?
Hot Topic.
Because he wanted to get a pocket chain.
Yeah.
And where I was looking at the studded belts, I was like, bro, this will never be dead to me. Like
Never.
this studded belt. Even some of the ones like they have those ones where they're kind of like rounded off, but even ones that legit spikes on it,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's sick.
I even went as far as like wearing the studded wristbands.
Had to.
I was like, God.
I had those with the Slipknot S on it.
Oh wow, you.
That-
went
well, that
deep.
man was
You went
dedicated.
deep
I was
with it.
I was in
Yeah.
deep. I was in
Yeah,
deep.
no choice.
Bro, Slipknot had me in a
It
chokehold.
was in your blood.
It chose me.
Slipknot
I
had
didn't
you
choose
chokehold.
it. It chose me.
It was in you, not on you.
Almost had MGK in a chokehold too.
Oh,
You like how I set up that transition?
I know
huh?
you did. You sick son of a bitch. You slick son of a bitch.
Fucking MGK.
We could talk about him. I'll even because this kind of goes into what we were already talking about, like artists and their images and stuff. Like I remember listening to MGK. This was around MGK and Yellow Wolf kind of came out at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like listening to MGK,
like the white boy rappers.
the
and,
white
like,
boy rappers, and
they were like
and
the
Asher Roth.
Yeah, they were.
Logic.
They like brought rock culture into rap in a way
Yeah.
to where it was like turned up mosh pitting kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, exactly. And
Did they, or was that the franchise boys?
Yeah,
Who was it? Party Like a Rock Star?
Shot
Yeah,
Boys,
Shot Boys.
yeah,
but
Shot Boys.
they didn't have like the kind of like shows where people were getting turned up. I would say, because I would even
Have
say
you seen the video of
actually
Party
no,
Like a Rock Star?
3-6 Mafia.
3-6 Mafia was the legit
brought
first.
that in to like the culture of like, because before I feel like obviously we're too young to know, but at rap shows though, if you stepped on somebody's shoes, you were getting in a fight.
Oh yeah.
To where like when
Not even
3-6
just a rap
Mafia
show,
came
at a
out,
bar.
it was like, yo, you getting fucking socked out or something
Yeah.
like that.
And they encouraged it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was before, and I was sitting. I like that you brought 3-6 Mafia up because they were the ones. Because before it was 3-6 Mafia, it was literally 666 Mafia for 666. And I didn't know that until I grew up later.
Right.
And I'm like, I just never correlated whenever they say 666. I'm like, oh, I don't have any paying attention. But I would hear it whenever it'd be Slipknot. I'm like, I know exactly what he's talking about. So I would say they brought it into hip hop first.
Right.
Because they were I think they were active in like the 80s, right? Late 80s, early 90s.
Early 90s, I
Early
think.
90s?
Yeah. And then they I think they got their mark like early 2000s when like Sippin' on Syrup came out.
And then they had their own
Pop in My
TV
Collar.
show.
Yeah.
Bro, they were the first ones to, I think, have the TV show. No, I couldn't.
It was
think of
before,
anybody.
it was around Robin Big.
That was the show. I remember, like, kind of vaguely, but wasn't that the chick that tried to make her own ranch on the show, and then she was like making some crazy shit. I can't
Bro, I just remember Project Pat. I
Yeah.
just remember I just remember
'Cause
the
Project-
intro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember the intro. I remember certain things. Like I think it only was one season.
Right.
They didn't
highly
renew it
doubt-
for a
I
season
don't
2.
think
They probably didn't want to. It's
Yeah.
probably not.
And they also had Robin Big, so they're like, let's just stick with this.
Yeah.
What we know.
This is safer for
This is
TV.
super safe.
No, that was era too.
Because we're trying to get shots, but they keep drinking lean on camera.
Hey, we can't. Hey, we can't market this. Just
can't-
like we can't market 666 Mafia.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah, but so like I credit to them. So when MGK came out and Yellow Wolf, like I was a fan of MGK. I'm like, he's cool. This was around the time I was collecting XXL magazines,
Like Wild Boy.
Wild
like
Boy,
that-
yeah.
that era.
that era, and to see last year's when he dropped his alternative album, like he made a transition with his music. He wanted to take a different approach, and like I want to do this again, and shedded more light because now everybody loves in popular culture. Now everybody's starting to go back to the punk rock roots, the alternative roots, and everybody wants a dirty white boy, and shit like that. So like he's thriving now, and with that album, he reached out to like a lot of different artists that were in like the screamo era that to be on the album, to kind of pay homage and have them on. And he reached out to Corey Taylor, lead singer from Slipknot, and asked to have him on the song. Sent the song over through Travis Barker. Travis Barker was the middleman in that. And also, you told me he executive produced it. I could assume he executive produced it, but now it makes even more sense why he was the middleman.
Based on sound, that makes sense.
And so Corey laid his vocals, sent it back. This is how it goes sometimes. Like, even if you can't be in the studio with somebody, they'll send it to an artist and then they'll record, send it back. And MGK said Corey wasn't even on the album. And this is where it gets like a little vague, because in an interview, Corey Taylor took a shot at him, saying, you know, these artists come from a different genre, come into our genre because they failed at the genre that they used to be in.
Yeah.
He knows who he is. Pretty soon he'll be doing country next. Throwing a shot, didn't name him. And for me, and for everybody else, they're kind of like, oh, he's talking about MGK, but we don't know why. We don't know why this is going on. And then MGK recently took a shot saying, I'm glad I'm not 50 wearing a mask and still performing. And it's like, oh, well, you just took a shot at Slipknot. So this uproar happened, to which Corey Taylor posted the receipts of how it exactly went down, and the email that MGK sent to Travis, kissing ass, saying that I loved Corey's verse, he fucking killed it, it's so surreal, here's my notes about it, I think the song would be super sick if we did this, I think if he changed it just a little bit, I put this bridge on it to enhance it, and this, like, he's getting super technical, we're with it. He's like, and I think the troops need to hear this overseas. It helps get them going through those down times, which don't ever assume that if you're creating something like...
Yeah, like trying to put yourself in
a soldier's
shoes. Like, literally.
You're talking about war here.
And I'll tell you about the replies that were in the tweet because Corey posted it on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
So the replies are fucking hilarious. And so he said all this. He's like, again, I'm super honored that, he even considered to do this. Yeah. Like, if he just did that, I think this song would be perfect, right? So, which Corey Taylor, who's a very prideful guy, he's been in the music industry since the 90s. So, he's a legend in this genre with Stone Sour and Slipknot. Legend. And to which he said, hey, I don't think I'm the guy. In a respectful way, no. Like, I'm not the guy. I hope you do find the right person for this project. If you need any help, my line's always available. Much appreciated, Corey.
Commendable.
Yeah,
Respected.
Very respectful. MGK took that offensively, of course, to which that's how he said his comment, what he did. I don't know if it was on stage or in an interview. And to which I don't think he realized how many Slipknot fans there are in the world and how big Slipknot was at one point.
Yeah.
I mean, or maybe he just was on coke and didn't even realize it when he said this.
Like, they started the Monster Energy drink kind of like demographic, like the Kyles, like.
In the Adams, because I was drinking that before. In the Adams, because my dad made me drink Monsters and Full Throttles before games.
Yep. And DC shoes and
you're describing my fucking
beanie hats and
keep going, bro. You almost got my whole fit.
Striped long sleeves.
You almost got my whole fit.
The Rockstar tees.
Yeah, with the studded belt and the fucking jorts, bro.
And the pocket chain.
Yeah, and the jorts. We can't forget the jorts.
Can't forget the jorts.
The jorts that are past the knees.
It was almost like
and the socks up all the way.
Had to. Because
yeah.
I didn't know what swag was until the pack came.
What a time.
Until I realized you got to lower your socks a little bit.
Just
Don't lace your shoes up all the way to the top like a sucker.
Yeah, if you lace your shoes past the fourth hole, you some type of sucker.
Hey,
man.
You can count them.
Still doing it.
But yeah, so MGK had a show. It was at a festival. And as he's performing, the whole crowd just starts chanting, "Fuck MGK." And you got to imagine his confusion because he's thriving right now. He's dating Megan Fox. Like,
he's on top of the world.
He's on top of the world.
He had a resurgence in his career.
And he's thriving because of it. And everybody's saying "fuck MGK," and he's just like in a bewilderment. You can see the video, like what the fuck is going on?
What's going on?
Yeah, it's like the Drake at the what
what festival was it?
Odd Future. I don't know what festival it is. What that MGK was at?
It was in LA.
Oh no.
Drake, I'm talking about Drake where he was at the Odd Future show.
Oh, and they thought it was supposed to be Frank.
Yeah, it was in LA.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that. And the one thing you don't want to do is fuck with guys that still probably drink Monsters and Full Throttles. I don't even know if Full Throttle's still in business, but they're probably still drinking it somehow.
I guarantee you they have it stockpiled.
Bro, I knew people that would collect the caps to Monsters and send it in to get gifts. Like you would
That's
send in
dedication.
if you sent in.
It's a different human being.
Yeah, bro, and they're every day, every fucking day. You're drinking gasoline every day. You're getting hyped up though. Some of my best games. But yeah, and then Slipknot had a show at Knotfest in Iowa, where they're from, and the whole crowd started chanting "fuck MGK," and even Corey Cherry's like, "I can't take you motherfuckers anywhere. Like you guys are some crazy motherfuckers." And it's like, I'll be honest, I liked MGK's album. It sounded good, and it makes sense because if you have somebody like Travis Barker executive producing, like he's the main like person in popular culture that's from that era.
Yeah, and if you want to tap into nostalgia and the sound of then, who better than to bring in Travis Barker?
Bro, everybody uses Travis Barker. Like Thugger just used him for NPR, Tiny Desk. An artist I like, Nothing Nowhere, had Travis Barker executive produce his EP, and like he's very prevalent in. He's one of the most world-renowned drummers. So yeah, it makes sense of why it sounded so good. And then you have these other artists that come from that genre that are helping you put this together.
Who's that one artist? Is it Kenny Hoopla or something like that? Who's working with Travis Barker right now?
Kenny Hoopla.
Yeah.
He has a song with Nothing Nowhere. Kenny Hoopla.
So Travis Barker's he like executive produced his last project and stuff like that. And his sounds very reminiscent of like pop punk and stuff like that. So it's cool to see like this resurgence of that sound again. Like however many years later, like what, 15 years since that was like super popular.
Because I was trying to think of what new bands are there nowadays.
That's what's crazy when you think about it. Like that sound kind of died off
out of nowhere. It was like we're all listening. It was overnight, bro. We're all listening to that, and it was, I think, the hip hop getting in the popular culture where it just started going back.
Yeah.
Because I remember growing up and thinking one day I'm gonna go to the Vans Warped Tour. Or I'm gonna go to Headbangers Ball. Or I'm gonna go.
Every teenager in the chokehold,
bro. And then you would hear interviews and people talking about it, and you're like, I just want to go. Like even from the artist perspective, how crazy it used to be. It's like, well, fuck, it gone, doesn't exist, and like
shame.
It's crazy, and then now it's coming back. Like I remember my mom telling me this growing up. She's like, every 15 to 20 years, stuff comes back around.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at the baggy pants are coming back, baggy shirts. It's crazy because I go to my brother's football games. He's in high school, and I see like the things that are trendy right now, and like girls are wearing baggy pants. They're like Nike Dunks have made a full comeback since like when we were like in middle school, high school.
Still not a fan.
Yeah.
Still not a fan.
I mean, even if you wanted to buy them, you can't. It's crazy. Yeah. Like $300-$400, on resale.
On resale.
I was wondering when we're gonna bring back the cholo culture.
You wait. We're almost there.
I know it's pretty close, and I've also seen a lot of people that
somebody
never left
will
it.
appropriate it on TikTok, and then you'll see all the white girls in Palm Desert rocking.
I've been
conflicted.
conflicted.
Oh, you talking about the Kardashians?
Oh yeah.
Hey, bro, them back in the day when they first came out.
Well, I remember seeing pictures of of like Kim and Courtney and looking like they're straight up from Coachella or something.
Oh, don't talk bad about Courtney. That's my baby. Everybody, the rest of them though, you could talk shit about.
I was always a bigger fan of Courtney.
Yeah, Courtney's always been the realest one.
Also,
wasn't it the video where she beat?
Fucked up. By the way, she's the smallest in the group. Not even by a little bit, by the most.
Yeah, by the most.
And she's beating up everybody in the family. Even no disrespect, it's Chloe. She's a beautiful woman. But even she knows not to fuck with her because she's like a little chihuahua.
Yeah,
you don't want to piss her off.
Yeah, she's all fucking biting.
Short and height, short in temper.
Bro, I know a video you're talking about where she hits Kim, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, straight up fucking kicks her, then hits her. I was like, oh, this bitch is crazy.
It was Kim that started it, no?
Yeah, no, Kim's the one who came at her.
Yeah, yeah.
And she thought she could like do like one of these, and apparently this bitch trains or something, bro. Because she has a mean kick.
Courtney came through with the form, just bow.
I was like, bro, that was a good kick.
She did a fucking Muay Thai kick.
If you told me she trained, I would not be shocked.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which makes sense because she's with Travis Barker, and that boy is apparently has the best cardio known to man in boxing.
Respectfully, you know that Pum Pum is good because Travis Barker would never fly in his life.
Oh,
Guess what he did recently?
Hey, that's what you do
Took
when you got a
a
queen in
flight.
your corner. She makes you feel like you can fly.
Hey, you can fly again.
He tatted her
If you
name
guys don't know the
and
story,
got in a fight.
If you don't know the story, he got in a real bad plane crash,
He
almost
tripped.
died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very tragic.
He had 3rd-degree burns.
Yeah.
Like it was insane.
Yeah. So, literally conquered his fear
Of death.
of death for her.
Bro, could you imagine like how that conversation, Courtney with her monotone ass voice, but she still just has you captivated. She's like, I think you can do this. And he's like, yeah, you know what? I think I can.
Yeah, and honestly, I think she's part of the reason why I like monotone.
Yeah.
There's something about it.
Yeah.
Monotone and soulless eyes. There's something about it. Couldn't name it.
It really does something.
It really does something to my soul.
And then Kim just has like that high pitched voice, and I never really
You're
liked
just
it.
like, shut the fuck up.
Like Kendall's
Kim,
got it a
there's
little
literally
bit, and
people
Kylie's got
dying.
it a little bit too. Kylie's at times just dead. Like she just won't talk much. She just.
They say she should have been the supermodel.
Kylie.
Yeah, instead of Kendall. Because her poses are a lot harder than Kendall's. They say Kendall just walks.
That's what models do.
But also in
Oh, the
photo shoots
runway.
and yeah, but also in photo shoots and stuff. Like they say Kylie has the better poses.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But Kendall got that prototype body to her.
I mean, Kylie could buy it.
It's like
She
the
can buy longer
well,
legs.
it's like
I
the
don't know.
argument for like athletes, right?
Yeah.
You see a lot of athletes get a look because they have the prototype build, but then like the guy who's undersized, underdeveloped, but crazy athleticism,
Like Kyler Murray.
very much so.
Chandler Jones.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But then they get their shot, and it's like,
That's true in life, though. Like, I don't know, I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but I remember seeing the numbers in high school, like, positions in power or, like, of authority, leadership and stuff always go to the taller people.
No, that is the thing.
Yeah. Just right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Napoleon
I was
tried to
about to
conquer
say,
the world, but...
Napoleon came in the room
But
and
in
said, "What?"
corporate America...
Yeah,
In
definitely.
corporate America, that's what they look for.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And did you know this? Majority of, like, the males in leading roles are 5'8" and under.
I did know that. A lot of actors are very, very, very short.
Yeah.
You got your few tall ones, but also those tall ones, if you've ever noticed, not diverse in their type of acting. They could only play certain roles. Because, granted, they're fucking huge figures. It's kind of hard to play something else. It's like, oh, I'm going to be mysterious. Well, fucking The Rock's 6'5" and 280, so how much are you really going to blend in
That guy's going to fight a building.
and win?
And win.
And
And
beat-
he's got a prosthetic leg.
Hey, he beat an earthquake.
I was gonna bring up an actor, but then I don't want you to get mad. He's kind of short.
Nah, I'm gonna get- wait.
Yeah, I already know you're bringing up.
Who? Did you say it? Bro? Did you say it?
He's got like spidey senses and stuff like that.
Bro's garbage. Hey, I'm not impressed.
Not
impressed. Now Robert Pattinson, I'm impressed. I give him more.
Is
respect.
is that Batman still coming out?
It is.
In
might be
December?
no, I don't think it's gonna be December. I think they're pushing it back.
Oh,
Yeah, don't
fuck.
they need to though? Cause like I heard he was getting ripped a new one.
Well,
He was getting ripped a new
well,
one.
They
Yeah,
were,
like I heard he wasn't like. Well, when everybody found out he was gonna be the new Batman, I don't think anybody was like, "Oh, I can't wait to see that movie."
I did.
Really?
Just because the trailer though. I'm not. After seeing like the little preview snippet trailer.
because
of
to
it,
me it seems like a true dark type of Batman. No offense against Ben Affleck.
I was gonna say, would you rather have him or Ben Affleck?
Not even close. Robert Pattinson.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it depends what type of Batman you want. Like, it's just you have those clean cut type of Batman, which is like, I guess you could say Christian Bale, Ben Affleck.
It's
But
hard to outdo that guy, Christian
he,
Bale.
Yeah, he was a good Batman. I'm not saying he's not.
say Michael Keaton as well.
That was when it was Poison Ivy and
But even then, he was clean. But the movie I felt like was a little darker than the newer
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah.
Like
I get
not
what you're
Batman
saying.
himself, but like the movie
the
itself.
movie.
Did you see that tweet when they were comparing like the Batman movie and how it's like basically where we are in society now, where like this billionaire is like attacking Poison Ivy and what was that other Sub-Zero or something like that?
Yeah, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It's not.
What was his name? But basically like
Dr. Freeze? No.
yeah, I think it was
something
Dr.
Freeze.
Something Freeze.
And basically how like
Yeah.
Poison Ivy's trying to like bring back the rainforest and all this stuff and like bring back all the like the
Oh,
plants
that makes
and stuff.
sense.
And then you got the other guy who's like keeping the climate, da 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 da, da, and then you got this
Mr.
billionaire.
Freeze.
Mr. Freeze. What did I say? Dr. Freeze? No. But yeah, that makes sense. And it's perfect.
You
That's
merged
what we are,
Dr.
and-
Octopus and Mr. Freeze
That's
into
what I
one.
Exactly. That's what happened. Thank you for clarifying.
I saw this video. Twitter's funny. Twitter is a funny place.
I just hope Twitter never changes, because
I
like
think
that's
it's here to stay.
I think it's impossible.
I really hope so, because that's the one social media platform.
It's not impossible. I was thinking about it right now. If they chose to censor it the way they've tried to in the past, it could happen to where it wouldn't be like the fun place it is anymore. Because if they have like an algorithm that says like if you have this type of speech in it, it's not going to show up on a lot of people's feeds. There's a way to do it. I don't think.
Well, they do it on Instagram right
Yeah.
now, where they shadow ban people and stuff
just
like
dumb.
that.
Stupid. But yeah, Goth Batman. I can't wait. What were we talking about? Oh, short ass actors. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's a tall one, so
Who?
isn't what's his name?
No,
tall?
no, that's what I'm saying. Ron
Pattinson's
Pattinson's
tall?
he's like 6'2".
Yeah.
It's pretty tall.
Yeah. But you see,
And
very
I
diverse.
guess if you're
Yeah.
into that.
I mean, I guess. I mean, if you like people over 6 feet.
Why is it always short women that want really tall men?
I think they're just programmed. They had to have seen it like in a movie or it's just they've already played it in their heads too many times. Like this is my ideal type of man.
Well, you never really saw like a Disney cartoon when, the Prince Charming's looking up at a woman.
When they're looking, or even directly
even
at each
eye
other.
level, you don't see it. It's always like looking down. So like
Yeah.
ever since they were children,
Mm-hmm.
it's been like that. So and then, who was it? I forgot who it was saying like, oh, it was a comedian saying like, ever since mothers tell their daughters like find a guy that's tall, dark, and handsome, or just
Yeah.
tall and handsome. It's always tall is the first thing they always say. It's never, hey, find a guy that treats you right.
Yeah, no, which is very stupid because it's like that's not a personality trait. That's why I always laugh when I see heights in bios. It's like you
That's
think
still
that-
a thing.
No, I've seen it.
Man,
That was a
makes me
moment.
throw
No,
up
it's,
in
I
my
still
mouth.
I don't see it on Instagram. I see it on Twitter still.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know they're joking, like when a woman puts she's fucking 5'12", I'm like, oh, she's got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And she's like 4'11".
Mm-hmm. Good for her.
Yeah, but that was a weird time.
I think it's still prevalent.
You know what I think is weird too? When women want to have a certain type of child, like, oh, I need to have a mixed baby, or like, I need to have this type of child. It's like, that is sick.
We talk about this all the time. We're actually
do you think like
we're
that?
not going to out our friend, but she was talking about how she really wants to be with a Jewish man. Like that's her type. and this is-
I need, I need details.
Okay,
Why
I'm not gonna
Jewish?
say. I didn't even ask her why. I was
Is
like,
it because of the diet? Like they
No.
have like
I think
kosher
she,
everything.
I think
It's-
she
it's
I think
more
she loves the
healthy?
culture. I think, and I can respect that. I was like,
I know nothing about Jewish culture, so I
I
couldn't
don't
even
know
like.
much. I don't know much,
yeah.
but she knows it all when it comes
Apparently.
to Jewish culture,
Yeah.
and she really appreciates it. Like she loves it.
Like
and I was
Hasidic Jew, Orthodox. Like, is it any type of Jew?
I think for her,
Does
it's
she
an
want
umbrella.
the sideburn curls?
It's an umbrella for her. I don't know, but
Don't know.
That's
But-
interesting, right?
but that's what she was telling us, and I was just hearing all this, and I was like, okay, and I brought it up to her. I was like, but by you saying that, don't you think you've already kind of written everybody off because that's not your
Yeah.
ideal type? Because you, I'm not saying have such a fascination for this, but it seems like this is really a priority to you
Yeah.
because you're just talking about somebody's culture. Like the first thing's not to talk about like the person and like who he is and what he does and how you
Is
guys
this
interact.
person Jewish as well?
God no.
That's more interesting then too, because
Yeah.
like I could understand if you're from a certain like religion, culture background that you want to date your own. Like I could understand that.
Yeah.
But for me to be like, oh yeah, no, I gotta date a Hawaiian chick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, are you Hawaiian? No, I just love Hawaii.
I'm just a huge fan of Hawaiian
I know there's a psychological explanation behind that.
barbecue. Oh, there has to be.
There has to be, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Like anything else in this world.
Like
now,
anything
right?
else, yeah. Like there's a psychological explanation for why you like what you like, and it always goes back to how like your infancy. Like it always goes back to that.
Like the first 5 years of
the
your life.
first
kinda
5
thing.
years of your life.
Trying to think
It's not. It's like how you were raised. Like I don't even want to get into it because then it's like you start looking inward at yourself. You're like, oh wait, that's why I like that.
You're
Wait,
like, when was I indoctrinated?
yeah. Yeah.
Because
novelas.
It trips me out too, because like I went to high school with this chick, and like I still know her now, but I remember her, like, anytime we'd be around her, she'd always talk like, oh, I'm gonna have a black baby, and I'm like, what's your infatuation with having a black child? Like, you're Latina, like, I don't get it. Why do you want to? She's like, oh, well, I'm just into black men. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool, but like,
are you actually? Do you actually love them, or do you just like what they can bring
like, you
for
just want to have a black child? And I'm like, it's just weird. Like, what happens if you find like a Hispanic man or something like that, and you're like, yeah, like we could be together, but I'm not gonna have your baby because you're not black. It's like,
yeah.
Like,
I think it's weird any way you look at it. Like, if you were to go like specifically for a specific race or ethnicity, or if you wanted to keep it just strictly to your own, I still think it's weird.
Both seem
still, it's like you're, like you guys are saying, like you're prioritizing like something that person didn't even choose.
Yeah,
right.
You're not even getting to know who this person is, and a lot of it is like how this society is with dating. It's like with our social media, with Instagram, with Twitter, you get to see just how that person looks before anything else.
Well, isn't it crazy too? Like, think about it this way: we have all these dating apps and stuff like that, and you could literally like put in like what you're looking for, right? Like, you could check off all the boxes and like all these different things, and it's like, damn, you can't even just like date somebody for who they are now. They gotta fit this specific kind of like.
Well, because people have like checks. People have a preconceived notion of what they think they want, and they have these check boxes. They have these things they think are going to make them happy. When in reality, it's like, well, you don't have enough experience or have the perspective to know what is probably best for you or what you really like, because you just have it's this, and that. Okay.
Yeah, like everything you're looking for could fall at your doorstep, but then like it's like that one thing that you're not looking for, then all of a sudden you just write them off completely, and it's like,
hey, bro, how much times have you been written off because you're not 6 feet? Close to it.
I'm 5'11" and 3/4.
Hey, not 6 feet. Get it off my bio.
I can't put that in my bio.
Can't do it.
God forbid I had some Timbs on. See, if I lived in New York,
it's a wrap.
I'm 6 foot, bro.
You might be 6'1" at that point.
It's so funny too, because I remember when I was watching this thing, and it's like, how many people do you know say that they're 5'11"? No, they say they're 6 foot, and I'm like, no, I say I'm 5'11". Like, I'm okay with that.
I'm honest.
I'm okay with that.
I'm honest.
Yeah.
Women, he's 5'9", girl.
He said he's 5'11".
Ain't no man this honest.
Oh, man.
I would even choose a random ass number like 5'11".
He's lying about his height.
11, really?
11. What's next? That's 7 inches too.
Hey, you know it's at least 5 now. You think a man is gonna be that honest with you? How gullible are you?
How gullible are you?
Close enough.
Yeah, goddamn.
Man can't have shit these days.
We preach honest.
Man can't have shit.
Can't even have money.
Even when you're honest, they think you're lying.
I mean, and I get it. Sometimes you hear shit like, yeah, I don't know if I believe that or not.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, man. And then what they don't even ask themselves is like, women unknowingly, when they ask a guy how tall they are, maybe it's just because we're shorter kings, but immediately I don't even want to talk to that person anymore.
Yeah.
Don't even want to.
They're not gonna take you seriously.
It's
they're not tall enough.
Even if they were, it's like, am I the exception?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm gonna get killed for this one. Women can ask how tall we are, but as soon as we ask if they can cook, then what happens?
It's
Hey, you better build them a patio.
Hey,
Patio.
A patio.
But it's true. Like nor should you ask those questions. Honestly, the conversation goes immediately. For me, I get immediately turned off when they start asking like superficial, especially if it's right off the gate. It's like, oh, like what do you do? Like what are your plans like in the future?
Yeah,
this and that. Like
this
when you
gets
want
better.
I was like, oh my god. I was like, can we just figure out if we can talk properly?
Bold
first?
assumption
Right.
that you're gonna be in those plans.
Right? And it's like, how do you know? I don't want to tell you my plans. How about that?
So my homies in DTF, right? Yeah.
Shout out DTF.
For anybody that doesn't know,
Shout out.
downtown Fullerton.
Shout out.
Nice little area to,
Should have been down to 5
get into some shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's like parking lot pimping, ready to go home, whatever. And my homies with a group of girls, and these guys come out their car, and they start like trying to pick up on his friends, whatever. So the first thing she says is like, "What's your credit score? Like, don't even talk to me unless your credit's good." And dude, man, really came out of left field with this one. He was like, I'll tell you my credit score if I could whisper it in your ear.
That's smooth. A little aggressive, but smooth.
It gets worse. He whispers 530 in her ear.
Oh, I was close. I said 550. Damn, I was close.
Bro, you cannot whisper that low of a credit. Like, at least lie, King.
Yes, you can.
At
least lie. Like,
she's gonna ask you for the score. The
say
like,
650 something.
She's not gonna make you pull out your fucking CreditWise app.
Hey, any woman that asks that question probably will.
Like,
bro.
is
She's
that
gonna want
TransUnion or
be-
is that
yeah.
just Equifax?
She's gonna
Show
want
me your FICO.
She's gonna want to see that. I'll show you my FICO.
So then
I'll
she
show you my
says,
FICO.
Any day.
hell no, that's too low. I'm out.
It's too low.
You can't ruin my credit, she says. I'm out. But it's so funny because it's like, I mean, men can't do that anyways because it's like,
Hit her back with the, are you hourly or salary?
right? Like,
Oh, we still on this hourly talk? Crazy. Next question.
Crazy. Next question. That's crazy.
I've never.
Hey, that man's just bold.
I respect.
That's a confident
man.
man.
I respect him for
respect
doing
that.
yeah.
Respect that. 5:30, but it's building.
And like, I'm
Hey, 5:30, but we on the come up right now.
working on
Come
getting
up right
it up.
Hey, it can't get any worse.
It's only
hey,
up from here.
hey, what you're seeing right now is me at my worst.
You want to be shooting in the gym with me?
He defaulted on a loan or something for sure. For
Clearly,
sure.
repoed a fucking
Repo
car.
something.
Repoed 2 cars at
Poor
that point.
guy.
5:30.
Oh, and his
Brother.
opening line was, "I drive a Tesla."
How did he get the Tesla? I'll
They-
tell you. I know exactly how I got that Tesla.
I mean, they can approve who they want. You finance to them. So.
Yeah. Good for him. At least he's eco-friendly.
5:30, but I'm in the Tesla.
What you got?
I mean, that's a good butt, I guess.
That's
He's
a
like, I
good-
live in it, but still.
I was gonna say but what can you really do past that? Not really. Hey, what can you imagine the interest rate if you got a 530 score?
Oh, and a Tesla,
Bro, it's got
20% easy,
easy.
easily. You never paying that shit off.
Never. It's for life. But it's a good investment.
My man's got like a 8-year loan on that bitch.
Bro, that's hilarious when the fucking credit score.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was just like,
She listened to Larry June.
man.
You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna ask those questions now.
He's
listened
an
to Larry June for
NBA
sure.
YoungBoy fan for sure.
Bro,
with that
he's
credit
got
score.
his. Oh, that guy with the credit score? Bold of you to assume they have credit.
I was like, I think you get automatic credit just being alive.
What? Like, it's like 300, right? Or 400?
Some
When you start off?
Yeah.
When you start off?
God damn.
Like 300-400, something like that.
Yeah.
Glad I never checked my credit when I first started.
I've been in them waters. I've swam in those waters.
Hey,
Swam out.
there you go.
Got out.
Gotta start somewhere, huh?
Yeah, it's life, bro. It's crazy when they don't teach you about it.
Yep, they set you up for failure.
Don't even start in the education system. Don't even start.
Would you be opposed to homeschooling your child?
Who's teaching them?
That's a
Me?
great question.
I think that's what it normally is, right? Your parents, or they.
Oh, you can
they
find. I mean,
yeah, you
depending-
can find a
you can
teacher,
find
but
somebody.
majority, it's like homeschooling with your parents, ain't it?
I'll say this. I do think that the social aspect is important in terms
Yeah.
of learning how to communicate, trying to figure out the dynamic between a human being,
Definitely.
especially amongst your own age. I think that's very important. I don't know if I would do homeschooling, but I would say I would want to be at least a little involved of like the extracurricular in terms of like, all right, this is what you're learning in school. Well, on the weekends, we're gonna like do this or learn about this. Maybe not in a
Yeah.
school manner, but in like a fun way for them to learn and be like, yo, this
teaching
shit's
them
not
like real life shit.
yeah, it's like, yeah, they're telling you that in school. Yes. To be honest, most of the time what school is a fucking, it's babysitting at a high degree. They
Yeah.
want to learn it. They want to know if you could fucking memorize things. That's all it is. Like,
Do you ever
don't.
look back on some of the stuff you learned in school and you're like, why were they teaching us that shit?
Every single thing.
You know what I
in
thought
college,
was
I
fucked
even
up?
thought that.
Like when we were like in 4th and 5th grade. Did you guys ever have to build missionaries?
We didn't,
Out
but I
of
knew of it.
popsicle sticks?
Whatever
Yeah.
you could build it out of.
I did out of
Yeah.
popsicle sticks.
I thought that was fucked up.
I remember we visited a missionary.
That's even more fucked
That's,
up.
to me, it was weird. I was like,
'Cause it's like- But I think that's where they indoctrinate you young, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like, we're going to teach you like here, we're going to bring it back to colonizing and stuff.
You brought it.
Here
Hey,
we
you
are.
did it. Hey,
It's
thank
not
you.
a we,
Prove
it's
our
a
point.
you.
Prove our point.
And here we are like, oh yeah, no, well, like the churches came through, they taught Catholics like and like
They taught them Catholicism and Spanish.
Yeah. Did you ever ask them if that's what they wanted to know?
And then we're gonna have 9-year-olds build these missions.
Yeah, it's like, oh, like look at this, I built a mission. It's like show that to like your great grandma.
Yeah, like they were teaching the natives how to like grow stuff and and
Where
how
they
to live, and it's like I think they were doing that.
I think they're already living pretty.
No, they taught them how to grow stuff for them.
Yeah, and it's like, oh well, they were like maintaining all the crops and stuff like that. Like, no, I think they were being forced to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if you like actually, which is a tough one because like you look at when you think of especially Mexico, you think of like haciendas and how that traditional style of what Mexico is, but
like the architecture,
but then you look at it, you're all. But realistically, that's not even how shit was built back in the day.
Right,
that's straight from Spain.
That's straight from Spain. Like I see houses in Mexico, and I'm like, those houses have been up for like over 100 years, made from like adobe.
Right.
Like literally, that's how they made certain shit. And I'm like, dude, but in reality, even that's fucking to some extent, kind of colonized because a lot of times they weren't building that shit back in the day like that. Mm-hmm. So any type of architecture, really, you look at it, you're like, that's not even really even from here.
Mm-hmm. They brought it up from like Europe.
Yeah.
Colonizing though. What are we gonna do, guys?
There's nothing we can do about it.
Hey,
bro.
we're already here. Fix it.
You're in the game. You get to hate the game, play the game.
Bro, I didn't choose to be part of the game. Is what I'm pissed off about.
If you could go back to any era,
90s, 80s, Coco's good.
So that means like you would have been born in the 70s?
No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't choose that time. If we could go back to any era, what would it be?
Not even just any era. It could be like
or any place,
any century you want to go back to.
I don't know if I would want to be in any century other than this one.
Like this is in a weird sense. Like this is the best time to kind of be alive.
You're not getting diarrhea and possibly dying. Yes.
Yeah, you're not dying at this age.
Yeah. There's good things here. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to like live in the 1600s or 1700s where it's like you get a broken bone and like they're killing you.
Yeah.
He's not good for society. Can't even walk.
Get him with his leg.
The doctor that says they can fix you, they think she's a witch, so she's probably gonna die.
Or like they're giving you a bottle of whiskey and it's like, okay, get drunk and then we're gonna do what we can.
And we're gonna amputate this thing.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we get through the night.
And now, you tear your ACL. Hey, we got you in 3 weeks.
You'll be 4 months. You can still even be running.
Yeah.
I think maybe like being able to be like a teenager or like a young 20-year-old in the 70s or 80s would be
I always go back
cool.
to that. I go back to like 60s, 70s, like right in there. But
Only
then I gotta think about where I'm living.
Right. I'm thinking of like civil rights and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like,
I'm thinking about am I in California? Am I in Texas? Where am I at?
It's a trip too, because we look at history books and we think like, oh, that was like so long ago.
No,
and it's
because
like, that was my
photos.
grandma.
They put the photos in black and white for a reason.
Right.
It's not that long ago.
And it's a trip because like my grandma, when they did the Million Man March, like she was a part of that.
She was one of the million men.
Yeah, one man.
One man. Yeah.
And it's like it's a trip because like you think back and it's like, oh, that was so long ago. It's like, no, my grandma was like a young teenager.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then when I think about it, my great grandma was born in Nebraska because her dad was working on the railroad.
Crazy.
It's like that's not that far.
No,
crazy.
In lineage, like that's not. It's 3 generations.
Mm-mm.
It's not that long. Like if I was able to grow up and still see, granted my parents had me at a very young age, but still like I could still talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like she grew up, went from Nebraska and then went back to Mexico. Like she could tell me all about that. As best she could because she didn't really speak that much English.
Yeah. Honestly, if I was to choose, I would like to have it where I was, I guess, a teenager, probably in the mid 70s, and it would be in Mexico for sure in Mexico, because this is when it was not even super developed at the time, where ranches were still like a huge thing, like cities weren't what they are now. And like I hear stories from like my mom even growing up like in these areas, and I'm like, dude, that sounds like that's what I want to get to. And it's funny because that's what they were trying to get away from, and I'm like, dude, what are we doing here?
Isn't that crazy too? Because like our parents wanted to come out here for a better life and like whatnot, and then they became part of society right now, and like it's so like fast paced and it's like very like keeping up with the Joneses and kind of stuff like that, that they want to get away from that in their older years,
in the retirement years,
and then here we are like living in that situation. Is like,
well, we grew up in that situation,
right, and like we're kind of like, like that's not all cracked out. So what we think it is, like we want to go build a house out in the boonies somewhere in Mexico and stuff like that, and like get away from society and like
to have like that healthy medium is like kind of what I aspire. Like that's my dream. Yeah, that is my dream,
to be able to like go out and like live that fast-paced lifestyle you want,
and
but
not too far away from like my great grandfather came here, and I saw a tweet about this. Somebody brought it up like back in the day in Mexico, like how they picked their wives was they would kidnap them. That's what happened with my grandma. But I mean, they were kind of talking a little bit before there was some communication.
The sentiment was there.
The sentiment was there. It was very romantic. But when he came here, he bought a ranch and had like 14 acres. It's now part of PGA West, I think. But he had 14 acres and like how you're saying, came over here for a better life, but still wanted to have that same, life that they had in Mexico, but just here. Like,
isn't that crazy that they used to do shit like that? Like, I remember my grandma telling me a story. They had to hide one of her cousins underground, like in a ditch, because one of the men were coming to like make her his wife.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and she's probably like 12.
Yeah, she had no business becoming a wife.
Had no business, but back in that day, ripe for the picking, I guess.
Isn't that kind of why, like, in, like, Hispanic culture, like, it's not as frowned upon for, like, older men to look at younger women?
No. Yeah, I would say that. I was even telling fucking Adam, this was maybe, like, 2 years back. I was at a family party. I'm 27 now. At the time, 25, probably 24. And I was just talking. I always hang out with like always the older folks. I don't know why. I just always tend to gravitate towards them. I'm an old man like that. But we're just
they speak with substance.
They do. I get fucking annoyed with people really fast, especially the younger ones. But I was just talking and we're just going over things, this and that, and no bullshit. I was talking to one of the dads, and he's like, you know what? You should talk to my daughter. I want you to start talking to my daughter. And I'm like, in my head, I was like, I wasn't gonna say anything. But I was like, yeah, no, I mean, maybe one day, yeah, I don't mind.
You're like trying to be respectful about
but
it.
she was 15.
Yeah, it's
and I was
nuts.
25. Like, there's a huge difference.
Yeah, and we all hear the stories, like, when we were in high school, of, like, the 20 and 21-year-old going back to the high school for the 15, 16-year-old, and you're like...
How was that ever a thing?
And when we were young, we didn't think too much about it.
Mm-hmm. I always thought it was weird, but...
Yeah, you kind of, like, you're like, what the fuck? But, like, it wasn't as... Like, now when it's like, nah, we gotta whoop that homie ass. Like, that's not okay.
Point, yeah.
But it's so crazy to think that was, like, maybe 10, 15 years ago. Like, in...
But I would say this in Hispanic culture is because they did it it was a survival reason. Because, obviously, a man at that age, a little bit older, he's done his dumb shit. He's more developed. He's more stable. They don't typically want their kids with somebody their own age because they're gonna make mistakes.
The maturity standpoint and all that kind of stuff.
So that's kind of the sentiment, but also it's like you shouldn't see a 40-year-old with an 18-year-old either. Right, that's extremely wrong.
That's some sick shit.
Yeah.
Because even mentally, I think about it, I'm like, you can't even connect like on any type of level like that.
You can't.
That's the old times. I'm glad those are the thing of the past. Because I just can't imagine my daughter coming up to me and is like, hey, this 25-year-old was talking, like, nah, somebody got to die.
I was like, and how old are you?
Somebody got to die.
We're not doing that here.
But yeah, I don't know. No, I just want to go back to Mexico. Not for that reason. But.
No, that is a weird.
I'm just thinking about the ranches.
Poor choice.
Hey, it was poor timing, is what it was.
Yeah, I just want to get an Iron Gate with me and my Sanchez.
Bro, honestly, that's why when I was out in Montana, when I was out in Montana, it made so much sense. I was like, I could live here.
I just want some chickens and cows.
We got that in the works. Don't worry.
We don't want enough property for my 5 dogs to just run around.
Yeah. I think we're asking for much. But I think we I think we hit on everything, guys.
It's so
topics that we didn't intend to hit.
Exactly.
Yeah, we went all over the place with this one.
Before we sign off, I was going to say, do you want to let the folks know about where they can find the site?
How yeah. So, like, the store will be open till Friday.
This Friday. You could shop at ITOYOU.shop, ITOYOU.shop, or follow us on Instagram, ITOYOU.IND.
And yeah, you can just follow us, get caught up with us on all the drops. We offer services too, like DTG, embroidery, all those kind of things. Yeah, so looking forward to connect with people. Doing the whole rollout for anybody. We could do the same services for you guys as well. So tap in.
So essentially, all the stuff that you do and you put out, you can do for other people.
Yeah, so that's what we want to do. Ultimately, with ITI, we want to be able to offer resources to our community any way we can. So from media to, product development.
So brand development and mostly small businesses?
Yeah, small businesses. Even like younger kids that like have no idea what they're doing when they get into this kind of industry. It'd be cool to like be able to mentor like young kids and things like that who want to get into the industry that have no kind of knowledge about it. Because ultimately, that's why I started this company, was to kind of like give people or like younger entrepreneurs like a head start, rather than bumping their heads on all the things that it takes to get to a certain point, to where they could have a brand and like get the ball rolling a little easier, rather than like
having to go through all the struggles and
all the struggles and like all the wasted money and things like that. Because when I started, there was like screen printing businesses that would charge you like 6-7 dozen minimum, and they're not even going to pick up your order unless you have that. So you're talking about like $500-$600 at the time to
drop on something that might not even sell.
You may not even be able to like sell half of that because you don't have the following to do so. So with ITI, what I wanted to do was be able to offer resources at a reasonable price for these small businesses or like entrepreneurs that want to start a company, whether it's like clothing or whatever, be able to offer these services and resources to people at a decent price, to where they could get their business started, rather than like coming up with crazy amounts of capital that they don't necessarily have, or like they could utilize that money into different avenues, rather than like having to come up with all the money just for one kind of like item or garment, which you guys know when you're starting your company, like getting samples, that costs money. Getting them screen printed, that costs money. Doing the rollout with like, models, photo shoots, all that thing. It takes time. It takes money. Like,
you're in the hole before you see $1.
Exactly. So if I could offer these resources to these, people that want to start a company, they don't have to like come out of pocket to like buy all this gear, buy all these different garments and things like that. So yeah, and then just giving the knowledge to these, small companies that they don't really have the idea of like what it takes to get to that point.
Yeah, because not a lot of people know what it takes. I didn't even know what it took. I had the idea for a long time, but I didn't know what it took until you actually start doing it.
Yeah.
Because how many people, now our friends all have, their own businesses, clothing line, stuff like that. But before then, it's like, where do I go to get all this knowledge? I'm looking up YouTube videos and seeing from people, and it's even different because these people could be from New York or LA, where all this stuff is readily available.
It's so accessible.
And then in the desert, it's just to get like a blank garment out here. I think you have to go to like a swap meet or like.
And you're not getting a good garment.
Right, exactly. So if I could give people like kind of like the knowledge and resources that I had to accumulate over like the span of 10 years, if I could give them that head start within like their first few months of developing their brand, not only does it help them get to where they want to be quicker, I think it ultimately helps the community as a whole to be able to like get that ball rolling. Because like, let's be honest, if we have a bunch of different like clothing brands out here and the benchmark is set so low, then everybody's product is like, there's nothing to get to level the playing field. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's a brand like the Hundreds that's just killing it, but then you have like a bunch of kind of like brands that are under the radar. If we have like a bunch of brands that are like the Diamond Supply, the Hundreds, and everything like that, the competition's already so elevated that
you have no choice. But it breeds healthy competition.
Exactly.
Like, that's when you build Fairfax. That's when you build Hate Street in San Francisco. Like,
but you want to get to that point like sometime at least hopefully in this valley, whether it's on the east side or west side, it's like you want that to kind of be a hub.
And I think that's something that's slowly happening in this valley, especially with like things like Coachella and all these other like festivals that are coming out here. It'll be a hub, I think, sooner than later.
I think so too.
And yeah, not that I want to be at the forefront of that, but I definitely want to be like a
part of it,
a catalyst, to be able to help people, get to where they want to be, and not have to bump their heads and learn the hard way like I did. Like I have so many stories of like going to LA and like, you're going through the garment district and you're trying to find like these different, blanks and things like that, and then you find out like they're selling them at the garment district because they're like a lower grade quality to where like they don't make it to the factories and things like that, so like they're B grade, and then you find out because like the stitching in the armpit is like halfway ripped, and then like
or they don't have this size,
and then you go to like to these factories and stuff, and like they ask you like, hey, like where are your samples at, like where do you have a pattern maker, hey, do you have a credit line? Oh, by the way, to even open an account with us, you have to do a minimum 10,000 piece order, and it's like,
it's like
10,000 pieces.
I guess
I don't even know 10,000 people. I
ain't even got $10,000.
Who do you think I am, the Gap?
Yeah.
So yeah, just like trying to teach people, like,
even though it's healthy for them to learn that, but it's better if you could learn from a person that's already been through it.
Yeah.
That way they don't have to go through it. It's like, okay, I could do it this way. This is a better way to start. Eventually, if I do this right, if I'm consistent, if I go about it this way, I can get to that point to where I do have 10,000 minimum. Sure, that doesn't even phase them.
Yeah, and it was good for me to see those things and like have that experience, because then like that's something I could strive for one day. But the wasted time and like money and things like that, you can never get that back. So like to be able to get this green 18-year-old straight out of high school, kind of like show him the ropes and be like, hey, like just try to come in as a mentor and be like, hey, like you could get to that point, but like let's save you the time and money, and like let's be realistic. Instead of like wanting to put out 100 t-shirts of one design, maybe we could dial it back. You could do 3 designs, and then like maybe we do like a small size run of these t-shirts, and then you could not only like utilize your money a lot better, like you could use that money to double back with your next drop, and just things like that. Just trying to like educate these like young entrepreneurs to where like they don't waste all this time and money, and then within a year or two they're so burnt out that
it's like their dreams died already.
Yeah, their dreams came and went so quick because they didn't have the time to like really like get their feet wet and learn the game a little bit. And because that happened to me. Like I got into it, I did it for like 2 or 3 years, wasted a lot of money, and then next thing I know I was picking up a hammer for 5 or 6 years. And it's like within that 5 to 6 years, like were my dreams on the back burner? Yeah, a little bit, but like I still wanted to pursue that. But it took that time for those 5 to 6 years to be like, I really had to like hone in and be like, what do I really want to do? So instead of maybe like wasting those first few years learning, I could have like developed my brand a little bit different, really charted out what I wanted to do. And then instead of like swinging that hammer for 5 to 6 years, I could have used that time to like really build my brand and done something a little.
And you could still have been working there, but it would have been a shorter. It could have been 2 years.
Right.
Could have been a year and a half.
Exactly, and then like letting these kids know too, like you're gonna have to hustle and do something in between to get where like.
Oh, if you think that'd be foolish, but I mean that is giving game. Like if you think you're gonna profit with any new business within the first year or two,
you're gonna
like,
be in the red for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the reality of any business. You get what I'm saying? Like anything you start, like. You're going to have sacrifices. You're going to have hard times. There's going to be challenges and things like that. But
it also goes to show you, too, like, do you really want to do this? Because you're not going to make almost any money for a while. Like, you got to do this because you want to do it, not because you need this.
I think people need to, like, understand the idea of entrepreneurship, too. Like, being your own boss isn't easy. Like, nobody's telling you to clock in. Like, when you wake up and, like, your workspace is where you sleep and, like, your four corners in your room are literally like where you're like working at. It's hard. Like, I don't think people understand that. Like, waking up where you work, you have to like really, like, nobody's telling you to clock in. No. Nobody's telling you like, hey, like, you have bills to get paid. Like, you eat when like the only time you eat is when you're working. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you don't work, you don't eat.
It's that simple.
Yeah. So, and then like that's what I wanted to do with Itty, is like trying to be like the ultimate thing is to be a brand developer for people, but also like have like a mentorship for like younger entrepreneurs, and even if for like a year older and stuff like that. I'm not trying to like big homie anybody and things like that.
I was say,
like,
sharing knowledge.
Yeah, I was saying, even
exactly.
Even you're not that much older than us, but even then, like, you're helping us with the stuff we're working on right now.
And that's just what I want to be able to do, is like offer services to people and like, you know, help them get ahead, rather than like going to places where they're charging you like, oh yeah, like this minimum is 6-7 dozen. Next thing you know, you're like, fuck, bro, it's like $700.
I can't even afford that.
Right. And like, let's be honest, when you first starting, like, your numbers, like your margins to like where you profit is so like make or break your whole drop. You get what I'm saying? So like, if your margins aren't to where they need to be, your next drop might already be in the red, because like you're double backing from your last drop, and it's like people
you
don't.
Still got fucking a stock left over right there from the shirts you didn't sell.
Bro, like I still have shirts from, like, my grandma has like, I think like 3 dozen shirts from my last brand that I had when I was 20.
Yeah.
And that's all because like I was miseducated about like how to go about, you know, developing a brand, you know.
Yeah.
So
that's how we get ahead, is sharing knowledge and, you know, trying to put everybody in a better position to succeed, instead of being a crab in a bucket and like just holding all the information for yourself and you get ahead. Yeah. And like, and it also makes you know more proud. Like, I love when I look to like my left and right and see like you're doing your thing, and you know, Everbloom and Marcel and everybody's just, you know, thriving, and we're all sharing knowledge. It's all, you know, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's linear. Like, you can apply the knowledge, and it's, even if you're in a different field, it's still entrepreneurship. It's still business at the end of the day.
You can still take something like from a different, you know, field and apply it to what you're doing yourself.
That's how you have like a renaissance of sorts. Like, that's how everybody comes up. And in my mind, I would love it to be, you know, this valley be a utopia of sorts, of like when people come and they see, you know, everybody's wearing local brands, or everybody's fucking with just majority of local shit. Like, you could still have, you know, whatever designer purse or designer bag you have, but like, you could be wearing an Itty shirt, or you could be having Everbloom coffee in your hand, and you're on your way to go to Gabino's. Like, that's just what that lifestyle is out here.
Yeah. And that's what I think is so dope within like our community, is like where I see it going, where everybody's supporting like these small local businesses. And I feel like the more you support local in your own community, that dollar's circulating between
way
like
more,
so many different families, and like so many different, you know, restaurants and like clothing companies and things like that. Like, the more you circulate that dollar within your community, the higher your community is gonna elevate. Yeah. Slowly but surely, and like, you may not see it within like the first year, the first, you know, 2-3 years, but 10 years from now, 15 years from now, that's where like these communities start really thriving. You get what I'm saying? Because like Coachella, for instance, it started in like what, 98, 99, when I think Pearl Jam came out.
99. I think 99 was the first Coachella. I don't think it was called Coachella the first time they did it, but they had Pearl Jam. That was when Eddie Vedder got hit with the shoe.
Exactly. And I don't think they even
Pearl Jam.
I don't even think they saw what was developing, you know. Like, I think for like the first 2 or 3 years, they didn't even make any money. Like, they filed bankruptcy or something, and then another promoter.
Also because the person funding it was a drug dealer. So that's kind of how that happened.
Yeah.
Boy,
but still, hey, you know what? You'd be surprised. JP Morgan, we're looking at you.
How quick we are to forget about those shit.
But that's the potential of being from this area and having, like, we already have the tourism that comes through here all year round now, because before nobody would be here during the summer. Now we have Splash House. Now we have
it's like
the
year
hotels.
round now,
Yeah,
you know?
people will bear through the heat just to get a break from wherever they're from. And
well, people come out here a lot of time because of the heat. That's what they want to experience.
Yeah,
which is funny in itself, but
yeah, it's funny because you're from here, so it's kind of like, why would you want to come here? But it's like having more a sense of pride of where you're from.
Yeah,
like you should be proud, like just like the artists you look up to always, you know, saying where they're from, whatever it's a city, their state, whatever. You should have the same thing for your hometown. Don't be ashamed of it.
Exactly.
It's something, and then at the same time, what are you doing to make it like?
Yeah,
you should be proud of it.
It's funny because like you have that a lot out here, right? Like people that are from here, and then like they talk so much shit about it. And it's like, bro, like
right away switch their bio to LA or switch their bio to wherever they move.
And it's like, and then they come back here and it's like, oh yeah, like I'm from India. It's like, bro, like you moved to Los Angeles and just started repping out of nowhere. Like, come on now.
How quick we are to forget. Like
yeah,
it's a city. It's a city that raised you. It's a city that you kind of shaped you into who you are.
Yeah. For better, for worse.
For better, for worse. You should always have a sense of pride in like, or doing something, shedding light. Like the smallest thing of, even if you do, you know, migrate to somewhere else, if you're still posting about whatever's going on back home to help out your people, because the people that follow you are from your hometown. Like bring awareness, shed light, even if you can't be there physically. Like it should always come back to that, because before you know it, bro, we're not gonna have a hand in whatever's going on here.
Yeah, and that's what I don't want to happen, because I see it constantly, like in Palm Springs, Palm Desert. Just you see all these changed outside money coming in, and I'm just like,
yeah.
Well, that's the reason why we fucking never can advance, because we never get it. One, we don't want to take the risk, and two, nobody wants to think about having that ownership of like, it's gonna be a lot of work, but you're gonna be a part of it.
Had a conversation today with somebody, and it kind of goes in with this. You notice how there's no fast food restaurants in Indian Wells and Palm, they're like drive through.
Yeah.
And it's because
the city mandated that.
The city mandated that. No, not only that, it does. Those restaurants, those fast food restaurants, don't contribute to the local economy. They put them in the lower income areas, so you think like they're bringing money to your area, but it's not.
Right,
it's not. Like you think, oh, they're giving you jobs. No, they're taking money from you.
Yeah.
They're not. That money's not staying within your community, and because they put that local fast food restaurant, you're not going to your or not local, but they put that fast food restaurant there, that McDonald's, that Carl's Jr., whatever. You're not going to whatever local restaurant, and you're not putting that money back into your community.
Because like no disrespect, but it's like, think about like, you know, a new one, Dave's Hot Chicken. I get they're not from here. I guarantee
Drake's investing in Dave's Hot Chicken.
I bet, and I guarantee you that money goes outside of the valley.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's definitely not circulating back. No. I mean, within the employees, maybe, but
that's
the majority.
That's a penny.
Yeah, it's minimum wage.
That's a penny compared to $1.
Yeah, all that money's going back.
So anybody out there that wants to rival Dave's Hot Chicken, go ahead and do it. There's not. I still don't think there's enough hot chicken out here.
It's a foreign thing. Aren't they putting the canes out here?
Yeah.
Or was that troll?
No,
it is. Palm Desert?
It's in Palm Desert.
Yeah.
It's in Palm Desert.
But still, like, I think it's along the freeway, right?
Yeah. But that's another one, too. It's like...
That's just going to get commuter money.
Yeah. They want that, like, people right off the freeway to do.
So what's the one thing I admire about, like, small towns is how they're a small town. Like, whenever we go to Big Bear or we go to... Idlewild. Yeah. It's like there's such a them versus everybody.
All locally owned stuff.
I think the one thing that they have and they probably enjoy is probably like a grocery store to make it accessible, but everything else, like you hardly ever see a fast food or things like that.
Yeah. And the locals really don't go there. It's us that go there.
Yeah.
It's like people that are going there to snowboard for the season or something like that, and they're grabbing some quick food to go back home.
Yeah.
But that's what I feel like is super important. Like, with people that are from this community, it's very important for them to be like at the forefront of like what's going on. Yeah. So like when this place becomes a hub for like whatever said thing that becomes popular here, whether it's like Coachella Fest, all these other like off-brand things that happen, it's very important for the people of the community to be at the forefront of like what's happening, because you don't want these outside like people from like Los Angeles or San Diego or anywhere else like Orange County to come in and like bring their own culture and have it be a representation of this valley.
Yeah.
Because it's not authentic. Like, they're not from here. So, like, I would hate for, like, these outside people to come in and, like, be like, oh, yeah, you know, like, this is the new thing that's happening in Indio. But it's like, bro, that's cool to you guys in Orange County and shit like that. But, like, that's not what's cool out here because, like, that's not of our culture.
Yeah.
That's not of, like, what we're into. So, like,
I think of it like boba spots. It's like, why would there be a boba spot in India?
yeah.
Now, if there's like a family that comes from that culture and wants to open up a local, and it's something like that, I can rally behind that. But if it's like a chain, because like I'm seeing it now with Dave's Hot Chicken, there's a Hawaiian barbecue spot, and I love oh my god, I love Hawaiian barbecue. But I'm just like, well, no, and I'm not disrespecting their culture or anything, but like, are you from here, or are you just coming here to franchise to profit off of our
and make $1 and stuff?
Because that I'm not gonna rock with.
You turn into like a suburbia of sorts.
Yeah, it's like I don't fucking want that.
Yeah, there's no culture.
Do you live here? Is this you? Is this family owned? Is this okay? I could rock behind that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it happens right before you know it.
Here, go ahead.
Oh.
I gotta make sure it's
Okay. Oh, you didn't have the timer on?
No.
Okay. But yeah, no, like, because before you know it, overnight, look at how much it's evolved within 5 years, and then you could think back to like when you were in elementary school, how much it's evolved. Like I remember growing up and riding at Edam Hills or in Dillon, riding quads and shit, and now you can't even do it's illegal.
Right.
And those areas where we used to ride are developed.
Yuppies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the yuppies.
No, and that keeps happening. Like I'm seeing it constantly now, because I'm always out in Thermal, a little bit Indio Hills, and I'm just seeing all these areas. I'm like, I think about it. I was like, this place used like it's still kind of an oasis in that area, but if you're just gonna create it into a suburbia, you're gonna take away what it's meant for and what the allure is. But houses are gonna get made, things are gonna get developed naturally, yes, but you just want to make sure that the community's still the community.
Yeah, the very thing that people came out here for is slowly like fading away.
But in our generation, we have like when we alluded to like going back and like we have this affinity for stuff that's older for whatever reason. Like we want to go back to ranches, we want to go back to like that small town kind of living. I feel like it's our generation and maybe the generation under us, but I've more so are the millennial generation of we love that shit for whatever reason. Like I know you want an old school what is it?
Monte Carlo.
Monte Carlo. I want like my grandpa's 64 C10 that I want to fix. Like I have an affinity for that because there's something that I'm attracted to like of that. Yeah. And a small town, I want to be like a regular at a spot where they just know my order.
Yeah, you just walk in and it's like, oh,
yeah,
there's
regular.
But what our agenda is, it's not going to be the same agenda as what the city is, and the city doesn't care for that.
Yeah.
Like it is. It's sad. It is to say, and even then, it's like, oh, you want to? I want to own a ranch too, but it's like the closest place I could think of having property is out in Thermal, and now I look at the prices out there for acreage, and I'm like, oh, well, I got the they drove me out of the market. I'm not even a player anymore.
Well, you're not their demographic.
No, we're not the demographic. They want people to come in, pay a lot of money for this, and develop it into like the next Coachella or develop it into the next venue or this or that. And it's just like, well, I guess I can't have what I want.
Yeah,
it's weird. Like we'll never have tall skyscrapers out here, but
no,
we'll be able to live out here.
What's crazy is about Palm Springs is getting like more and more open to like going higher, and it's crazy because it's like the very thing that you guys sell in Palm Springs is like, oh, the mountain scenery and it's like, but you guys are going 4 or 5 stories up, and it's like all these houses that are single story, they're not gonna be able to see the mountains soon.
Yeah, that's your whole selling point.
Right, you got like the Rowan that got built like within this past few years. You have another like and they're starting to be open to like the Los Angeles kind of buildings where they're like storefronts at the bottom and then condos up top, and it's like
they introduced that idea to Old Town Indio.
Yeah,
I hope to God that never happens.
I think it's gonna come to fruition a lot sooner than you think.
Well, now that COD's owning more property in that area. Yeah.
And I get it, like they want to develop the city and be able to like grow and things like that, but it's like you guys are selling that dream to like out of towners. Like the very people that keep this, community afloat are the locals and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, because they want their name tied behind like, oh, I turned this city into like this. I did this to that, and you need outside money. You need these type of things, investors to come in, and it's just like, well, the minute you do that, everybody here is kind of shit out of luck.
I'll put some blame onto us as well. Like, for a long time, growing up, my parents said, "Hey, get good grades and go to school somewhere else. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be here." My dad called this place a black hole, like my whole childhood. You stay here long enough, you'll get stuck here.
Yeah.
You will never leave. And it's like, think about if that's just me hearing that, how many
Everybody
other
else,
people
yeah,
heard
no.
that?
Yeah.
Like, you just have it in the back of your mind, like, I need to get out of here. I can't be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what was sold to me as kids. Like, oh, get a good job, go to school, and then, like,
Move.
go to LA, Orange County.
Yeah,
somewhere
so
out
then
there.
it's our fault to an extent because we're not thinking about that either way. Like,
But I don't
having,
think that our parents had the knowledge of that either.
yeah, and I'll put the blame on us. Like, how many people do you know that want to have a business in India?
Very few.
Yeah.
You know people that own businesses or aspire to have businesses, but how many wanted to be in India? How many wanted to be in Coachella? How many wanted to be in the side of Palm Springs nobody's at?
Yeah.
Or Cat City? And it's like, no, they want to have it in Palm Desert. They want to have it in La Quinta. They want to have it in the nice, super nice part of Palm Springs. We're paying like $3,000 a month in rent or whatever the crazy number
Fuck
it
that
could
noise.
be. And it's like, yeah, you don't really see it. And then if you were to say like, oh, my business is in India, people will be like, oh, it's over there.
I guess it can't be that good.
So you have to like, it takes a very strong-minded entrepreneur or just a person in general to have it there. Like, I admire Casa de Silvia because they're there.
Yeah. And phenomenal
Yeah,
food.
phenomenal
Oh
food.
my
Yeah,
god.
definitely like some of the best food you could get anywhere. Not even just in the valley. Like, I'd put that Mexican food up against some of the
And
best.
they played
you
it
know?
nice and everything
Bro,
for you.
I'll put it up against Doña Mari.
Yeah.
Hey, her tortillas can't fuck with.
I
with-
know, I know,
No, those
no,
are
no, no.
not even
That's
close.
not even-
That's
that's not
But the
even-
food, the
Yeah,
food
yeah,
itself.
yeah.
Ooh, that's hard to compete with.
Yeah, that's hard to compete with, but it's like, it's shit like that, and they're there, like,
And you know what? They took the risk, and I guarantee you, it's gonna. I mean,
pay off in the long run.
It's gonna pay off in the long run. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Because they made
If
that.
it hasn't already, because like
Yeah.
it's like a staple.
well, like how you said her story of like selling tamales out of the trunk.
Yeah. That's how she started. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we
From the
my
ground up.
dad's known her for fucking forever.
Mhm.
She supplied our fucking tamales since I was a kid.
Yeah, probably my grandma too, because after my great grandma passed, they kind of started slowly not making tamales every year, like
Yeah.
in the house. So like just buying from, if she was in the
And-
parking lot of Food for Less,
Yeah,
then
no.
yeah, it was her.
If it wasn't
She's
her,
good.
like it's so funny too, because like they kind of have a monopoly on it too. If it's not her, it's her sister, and like it's like a family thing. Like
Yeah.
they have the game ran down so
yeah.
good. I'm
Hey,
like,
the kingpins out here for tamales.
they're genius in how they do it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, that's just entrepreneurial.
Mm-hmm.
It's fire.
That's what it is. You got to see the opportunity. You got to see it and just fucking.
And this is just some
Fucking
young
dope.
entrepreneurs talking to y'all. Hey, we're just trying to put everybody
Trying to
on
make it
game.
work.
I'm
It's
trying
just-
to restore our community.
It's just
as
different because
Marshawn
in a
Lynch
modern
says.
economy, you have to have multiple streams of income, not just one.
Yeah. Hey, but you know what? Think capitalism. That's what you did. That's what you did to me.
So who gonna be the Medici family?
Nike, go.
What's the name of your clothing line? We don't
know.
know.
The name of the clothing line is Idiot ITOYOU. Also, Heaven's Demon.
Heaven's Demons out here.
We trying out here. We have a drop maybe coming sometime soon.
Maybe
It's
coming
in the
soon.
works.
Provided by ITU Industries.
That's why it's
I
a
can
big.
get my damn pre-treatment ready.
Hey, don't.
Hey, we're talking about this off camera.
You know what? I'll come back what you just said because you said it on camera. He will go above and beyond to
Hey.
make sure he gets it right.
Anything for the homies and my customers.
I'm not gonna say we'll give him a huge cosign, but he's gone above and beyond for every single thing. Sat through us for everything. I'm like, you know what?
Nothing will change.
I was like,
From collection 0 to now he's producing collection. I don't even know what number it is.
6, I think, at this point.
Could be.
I think it's 6.
We out here.
We out here.
So shout out y'all. So I'll sign this podcast with thank y'all for listening. Support
like,
local
subscribe.
business. Don't buy from food chains. Don't do that.
Limit how much you buy from
limits,
because
yeah.
I know y'all gonna buy. I'm going to.
I'm gonna
do
I'm
the same
gonna,
thing.
I'm
It's
gonna
be
go to
hard.
Hawaiian barbecue. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it. There's no way I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna be happy about it.
You know,
And you know what? How about this? This is my pledge. This is what I could do for you guys. For every time I have Hawaiian barbecue, I will go to minimum 5 local shops. Minimum.
minimum.
You know what?
That's
Fuck
fine.
it. 10.
Yeah, bro.
So that you know how fuck.
Anytime I get a
I would say
Caniac,
start
That's
start small
big-
and work your way
Nah,
up.
fuck it. 10. I'll set it now. I'll set
it's
it
because
now.
you challenged shit.
Yeah. So honestly, I might only be able to get Hawaiian barbecue twice.
He
this year.
will be broke.
Twice. I'm only gonna be able to eat it twice a year now.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. You see what I
Thanks,
did?
guys.
It's
You
fucking
shot
toxic
yourself in the
here.
foot that time.
That's fine.
I'll make sure to buy local anytime I get a Caniac or a 3-finger combo. And I'm talking about Raising Cane's.
That's wild. That's
It's
wild.
talking about Raising Cane's.
I bet you.
That's
would.
why I led with Caniac.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. You fucking maniac. But thank y'all for tuning
Y'all
in.
are lawfully horny.
Thank y'all for tuning in this week. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Until next week. Deuces.